We be live.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, Susie? It's been
Pretty
a while.
good.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I talk to you often. What are you talking about?
No, live. We be like streaming. I know.
Ah,
Yeah. For
just a
people who are
week.
watching. Yeah. Whatever. Okay. I'm not gonna say anything. Okay. Okay, guys, we are here to cover the news on religion, atheism, secularism, stuff like that, and politics and cultural events that is related to that. Okay. And we usually have we no, not usually, we always have 10 news items, and Susanna picks them based on your feedback, and based on our staff feedback, and she does the research behind it, and she goes and prepares and makes sure that the news is not fake news, and goes and digs into the details and stuff. So she puts a lot of time and effort, along with Dee and some other Atheist Republic team members who we cannot name. So there's a lot of effort that goes into this show that comes to you every week. And Susanna also tries to find good news, because usually, an atheist channel covering news about religion, usually they're depressing and ridiculous and makes you lose all faith in humanity sometimes, right? So she desperately
It's a struggle.
tries
It's an ongoing struggle to
Yes.
find good news to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, people, without me telling, people are already telling me where they're watching from. So yeah, guys, please tell us where you are watching from. So Charlie is watching from Philippines, here from Lebanon, and hold on. Here we have from, wait, what is this? What is this place? I don't know what this is. Again, from Philippines, watching from Philippines. A lot of Philippines. Philippines again. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Oh, here, UK. Soho is also watching from UK. Yeah, guys, let us know where you're watching from. I will not read all of them, like from Germany, from Malaysia, from Amsterdam, but I will try to keep highlighting it whenever throughout the stream when somebody's saying where they're watching from. Oh no, my gosh, another one from Philippines, Norway, Netherlands. Susanna, where the 10 news items today? Where is it covering?
Iran, Australia. We have a bunch of stories from India. Actually, the UAE and Mali. Yeah, those are the biggest ones.
Well, we should do more Philippines, given that we have so many Filipino watchers. Oh, Indonesia, Philippines neighbor. Yeah, and also the news today, is it a little bit sad, a little bit happy, or a bit tragic, or is it like ridiculous?
It's a mix. It's a mix. Yeah.
It's a mix? Okay, good. All right. For the first news, can I clap for the first news?
Oh, no, this is stuff we do not like. 100%.
Like? Okay,
no.
Sure. Okay. All right, so... Okay, that sucks. All right, so I'm just going to say first news. First news.
Iranian protestors sentenced to death for enmity against God. Nationwide protests have gripped Iran since September 16th, sparked by the death in custody of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old woman detained for quote-unquote improper hijab. Iranian lawmakers, mainly hardliners and Revolutionary Guard officers, are scrambling desperately to end the protests. On Sunday, November 6th, Iran's parliament announced that the protesters were muharib, or enemies of God. 227 MPs of the 290-seat parliament called on the judiciary to issue death sentences for people arrested during the popular anti-government uprising. Over 15,000 people have been arrested, and human rights groups are sounding the alarm on the shocking threat of mass executions. On November 8th, 2 days after the parliament's announcement, Iran's judiciary announced heavy penalties for those arrested during the protests. More than 1,000 individuals arrested connected to what the regime calls riots have been indicted. Most of the charges include quote unquote corruption on earth, assembly and collusion against national security, and quote confrontation with the Islamic Republic, charges that carry the death sentence as punishment. On the same day as the court's announcement, Branch 26 of the Tehran Revolutionary Court sentenced protester Mahan Sedarat to death. So,
Okay.
obviously, this is very important to cover. Armin, go ahead.
No, just wanted to clarify that the sentences that they're getting, the crimes, these are Quranic verses, right? So spreading corruption on earth and enmity against God, these are literally words that are verbatim words from Quranic verses that are being used in a legal terms. Like, you know how we say theft, murder, these people, there's a crime that is labeled after a Quranic verse in Iran, and nobody knows what it really means. Even the people who use it against people and it often carries out a death sentence, right? So enmity against God or spreading corruption on earth, it doesn't really have a clear definition what the hell they're talking about.
Even by their own standards.
Even by their own standards. Like, just so we, it's not like this willy-nilly in other parts of the judicial system. Like, for example, if you steal money or if you have corruption, there's like specific legal terms for things, right? But when it gets all political and puts the regime at risk, or all of a sudden they have these Quranic verse labeled sentences that they pass on to people, which is so weird. And also it just tells you a lot, right? Because a lot of people in the live chat are complaining about the fact that, how I can't believe that Iran has blasphemy laws and they're using blasphemy laws. Technically, this is not blasphemy, right? Like, but I can see why people in the live chat think this is blasphemy laws, right? Because the people who are being arrested, they didn't rise against Islam. I mean, not all of them. Some of them have, right? Most of them haven't, right? They're rising against the government. And they rise against the government, and they're being accused of enmity against God. God.
Exactly.
Okay? Or like, who? Like, this is why even some Shias cringe from the Iranian government. Like, who do you think you are? Like, people who rise up against the government, you accuse them because they see this government, okay, as the standing government for Mahdi. So they see the Islamic Republic as God's government. The Iranian regime sees its government as God's government, and it sees its Vilayat Faqih as God's representative on earth until the Mahdi comes back. And Mahdi, for people who don't know, is the Messiah figure in Islam, which is supposed to come at the end of times, right? So you standing against the Islamic Republic, standing against the regime, they see that as standing against God. That's how they translate this as, which is ridiculous. But yeah, go on.
No, I think that's actually really important to put into context of like how, I've been thinking a lot about how a lot of people don't really understand that the ideology behind the Islamic Republic is that of a legitimate death cult. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, Armin, my understanding is that part of the ideology behind the Vilayat al-Faqih, I can't say it right, is that the mullahs are preserving an Islamic state. They're taking care of it. They're being the guardians of this Islamic state to prepare it as a prerequisite for bringing the Mahdi back, bringing Imam and Imam back from occultation. Am I correct?
Well, they're standing guard, so when he comes back, he has all the tools that he needs. I don't think they see that this is a requirement for him to come back. Okay. I think they just want to make sure that when he comes back, he has a standing army. He has a budget. I don't know why the person that
he has a budget.
I don't understand how the God's representative on earth would require. Like, seriously, they have funds. They have like funds ready for him that will be released when he comes back. But the fact, but if you're, yeah, they invest on his behalf. this, this is where your
I
khums and
can't take
zakat in
it.
Iran, yeah, it goes to like, but you're you're the Mahdi. You should be able to like just speak and like mountains will crumble. Why do you need like a fund? But it's a really good marketing, like a marketing scheme, because like in Iran, people's, you know, what is it called in Christianity? Is the tithe, right? Tithe,
Do the tithe, yeah.
the tithe, right? In Islam, we have that, right? Which is called khums and zakat. But all of that is mandatory. Like in Christianity, they don't take that away from you mandatory. Like in Iran, they do take that
It
away from you.
depends
Right.
on what branch of Christianity, to be fair.
No, I mean, it's not legally mandatory.
Oh.
Okay, so in Iran, it's legally but it goes directly to this fund for Mahdi, and they're like, now a lot of people get extremely rich off of it because they're like, all this money is going to that fund for Mahdi for the day that he comes back, but technically it's just like a free investment funds for them to just get rich off of, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
It's the biggest investment fund, yeah.
So Armin, I want to back up a little bit. So you have been very tuned into what's happening in like Iranian analytic and commentary circles, right? So when the parliament came forward, and the vast majority of the parliament came forward and they called for the death sentences against those who have been protesting and against just like the harshest sentence possible, what was the reaction that you saw from the areas that you follow?
Well, so I can see why this is, by the way, so bizarre, right? This parliament is supposed to be the representative of the people, okay? And the people are in the street protesting, and they were, a lot of regime officials, these people, right, are angry at the government. That why are you not killing these people? Okay, that's imagine, for example, I don't know what you guys are watching from Philippines or watching from India or watching from the US or Canada. Imagine watching your parliament and the people in your country are angry with the government, and your parliament, which is supposed to be the elected officials of your people, are telling like our government is like you would think like they would be angry at their government because they're like letting down the people, but they're angry at the government for not killing its people. They're like, why are we being so kind to these protesters? They're saying enough is enough. They're like, why are you not shooting them now? Why are you not executing the prisoners? They're like, there's hashtags by pro-regime people on Twitter. I'm not going to show it to you because I think if I scroll down, I'm going to see a lot of like bloody stuff, right? But there are a lot of, actually, let me see if I could find some that is not that bad that I downloaded from Twitter. There are a lot of pro-Iranian people are like, that's it. Like the government is not doing its job. Why are all these people in the street? Like, let me actually show you. Yeah, this is a good
oh my
one,
God,
right?
you sent this to me. This is crazy. Okay, please translate.
Yeah, so she says we will wash blood with blood. Okay. So that means that the protesters in the street have killed some of the Basiji people, some of the regime officials, like, which is weird because the regime has killed so many people, and in self-defense, some protesters managed to get their hand on a few of the regime armed forces, okay, and in self-defense they have killed them. And now these idiots are out there like, why is the government not getting revenge of these people who are killing our armed forces, right? So she's like saying at the end of, I don't know how to translate Mama Shab, like kids glove, like what is it called when you're like handling people gently?
Yeah, like kids gloves.
Kids glove, like she's basically saying end of kids glove, like stop. Our government is too kind to the protesters. This is a government that has killed more than in the past 2 months. They have killed more than 40 children. Children alone, let alone the rest of the protesters. How many, like, Susanna, do you have the latest numbers of how many protesters?
The latest numbers is around 330, and that's an absolute minimum.
Minimum, because these are the numbers of the people who have been, we have their names. The actual number is way more than this, right? But 40 kids, more than 40 kids, we have verified names of 40 kids that have been shot dead or killed during these protests by the government. And these idiots over here are saying, oh, why are you not being more harsh on the people? and including but the parliament itself, right? So the parliament came out and said, 227 members of the 297 seat parliament in Iran have called on the judiciary to issue death sentences for people arrested during the ongoing protests, right? So, however, I see based on this parliament was a very hand-picked parliament by the hardliners in Iran, right?
Mhm.
So their
That's why I
audience
was kind of like, when you were like, oh, well, these are supposed to be the representatives of the people. I'm
supposed
like,
to be, but they're not.
are they?
Well, that's why I said supposed to be, right? That's why I said supposed to be, right? But their audience, when they do stuff like this, is not Iranian people. Okay, their audience is their base, which is like people like this. Okay, and that's where they get their support from. So they say things to satisfy people like this. Okay, not the average Iranian person, right? However, this move by them has caused a lot of foreign governments to be like, okay, this violence is so normalized by the Iranian regime, because you don't see often a parliament coming out and being so asking for violence against its own people like this, right? So this move by the Iranian parliament has had major consequences, right? Like this, right? This move and moves, many more other moves, and this doesn't include the entire picture, right? So the U.S., Canada, and now recently France and Germany.
Germany just yesterday started to actually talk with its chest. Okay, after how long? Almost 2 months now. Germany is finally starting to speak out. What's the name of the chancellor? Schultz or whatever.
Schultz.
Yeah. He
Schultz
finally started to acknowledge that what was going on, which is really important. I've been watching some videos, or more like Babak has been showing and translating videos of people in the European Union like flaming the EU for doing essentially nothing. Like, they're like, oh, we in the EU, we like to congratulate ourselves because we're oh so tough. We put sanctions against like 11 people. But the US is coming after them. Canada sanctioned like 10,000 people. Like, where are we? We need to get our act together and start taking action. Like, really seriously take some action. So that's somewhat positive to finally see people like really getting angry about it and calling it for what it is. I also wanted to talk about, where is it? 1 second.
Wait, somebody is saying Tom is saying Imam Mahdi is only in Shia, not Sunni. Not true. Shia, both Shias and Sunnis have a Mahdi. It's just that in Shias it's a lot more pronounced, it's a lot more emphasized. But Sunnis have very specific beliefs about their Mahdi, which is, Sunnis say the Mahdi has to come back and fight the Dajjal. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that, but that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, they both have messianic figures either way.
Yeah, and they're both called the Mahdi. Yeah. Oh, we got a €6 super chat. Great John is saying, isn't the concept spreading corruption in the land, regardless of the holiness of the regime, so long as anyone is doing un-Islamic stuff? Okay, the Quran doesn't define what does it mean when it says spreading corruption in the land. Okay, just read the Quranic verse. It doesn't come with this with an explanation. There's a lot of tafsir or interpretation of what it means, but the Quran doesn't make it clear. So it lets like the Shia regime of Iran do whatever it wants with, and the Sunni governments do whatever they want with it. Anybody, it's just a filler. It's just like an empty vessel that you could put whatever you don't like in there, which shows how idiotic the Quran is, which can be used like this. Because even like there are some Muslims who will come and say like, oh, well, this is not what the Quran means by spreading corruption on the land. Well, maybe it should have specified, because without specifying, it can be used by anybody to make it do whatever it wants. And that Quranic verse tells you that people who are spreading corruption in the land, you're supposed to cut the opposite hands and feet and crucify them. So maybe if you tell people that you're supposed to crucify people who are spreading corruption in the land, maybe you should have been more specific about what does that mean. Because do you understand? If you're Allah, if you're the all-knowing creator of the universe, do you understand how easy it is for a verse like this to be misused? I mean, I can't even think of how it could be used properly. But if you didn't want this to happen, maybe you should have been more clear, you idiotic, stupid God. Anyways, sorry.
So wait, I wanted to ask you something else though. So what do you think about, is my video cutting out?
Yeah, you just got frozen like with this picture. Like
okay.
This,
but you can still hear me?
Yeah, I will just hold my hands like this as well, so we're matching.
Okay. What do you think about like the risk of mass executions?
Oh, very high right now.
Okay.
But it would be very idiotic. Do you want to turn off your camera on and off? See what happens.
Yeah, 1 second. There was something else I wanted to show. Can you bring up what I just sent you in the private chat?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, and then while you do that, I'm going to.
It's right here.
Fix my camera.
Okay, I'm going to read the super chat while you do that. Thank you again for another super chat. Gretchen is saying, well, that was kind of my point, Armin. Yeah, I know. I was like emphasizing your point. Your point was a good point. Thank you so much for the €2 super chat. Exactly. Oxymoron is saying God works in mysterious ways you don't understand. Okay, well, he made my brain, so he's responsible for it. Wait. Okay. Your camera is not fixed. Yeah.
I know. I mean, we switched to the camera. I mean, we turned it on and off, and I'm still frozen. So I don't know what to. Wait, let me try doing this. Nope, I'm still frozen.
Do you want to leave StreamYard and then come back?
Okay, yeah, let's try that. Okay, I'll be right back.
People are saying, Susanna, catch. Because you have your hand. Oh my god. Let me see what you guys are saying. Okay, so somebody saying Zelensky said Russia used Iranian kamikaze drones against Ukraine. Do you have any info on that? Yeah, that has been verified. That has been completely verified. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Susanna has my picture. Let me change her avatar. Oh, I can't change her avatar. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I have no camera. I'm
so sorry.
All right, mute yourself. So, yeah, I'll fix this. All right, let me read this tweet that Susanna sent me. The tweet says, Salman Yassin is an Iranian rapper who has been sentenced to death for protesting against the regime. There is still time to stop his execution. Governments of the world, now is the time to act. Tomorrow will be too late. Look at this. Guys, like you have the right to protest against your government in your country, but this is the fate of the person who just simply went out and wanted his rights, and now he's on death row. Jesus Christ, that's insane. Anyways, let me remove this tweet in case Susanna comes back. Susie?
Okay, so
Hello.
the point is that now my computer is not recognizing any of my cameras, and I do not know why.
Is there any way you could fix it?
I've been trying.
Oh, GJ. Okay, sorry. GJ is saying, can you please call me GJ? Sorry, I forgot your name is GJ. Thank you again for the super chat. Can Babak help you with the camera?
This is more of a computer issue. I don't know what happened.
Do you have just like a simple webcam?
No, I won't even. I do, and it won't even recognize that. It won't recognize any of my cameras.
Do you want to restart your computer? Okay, let's just go with it.
I mean, that might take a while, though. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's just go like this.
Okay. Maybe it'll help. Um,
Can Babak help you in the background while you do this to start to figure out like what to do? Wait, hold on. If you go to yeah, did you unplug back in your camera? Sorry guys, give us a minute here. Give us a
Let me
second.
see. This has never happened before.
Is
This plugs into this. Okay, let me 1 second.
all right, I'll meet you and I'll just read what the chat is saying. All right. Wait, I didn't. This is not my fault. Oxymoron is saying you told her to do that experiment and it all went wrong. What experiment? What are you talking about? Do a hard reset. Yeah, that's not gonna help. Anyways, let me read a little bit of this. Iran has been gripped by nationwide protests that started with the anti-hijab protests and were later inflamed by the death of Mahsa Amini. Amini, along with an increasing number of victims by Iran's morality police, has fueled the protests, causing them to intensify despite the regime's violent crackdowns. Yeah, I think we all know this.
Wait.
Yeah. Oh, fixed it. Fantastic.
I don't know what happened, but I'm back. Okay, sorry everyone.
Yay. Okay. Don't touch anything. Wow.
Okay. So
yeah.
Sorry for all that detraction. What I wanted to talk about was like when it comes to the handing down of these death sentences, I want people to have a better idea of some of the what's going on. So there was one mother who came forward talking about how her son was sentenced to death. He received the death penalty after one trial, one hearing, without a lawyer, and the hearing lasted 10 minutes long. So this is like the reality of the Revolutionary Court, right? And that's all it takes. And he was sat before a judge known as the Judge of Death, right? This rapper in front of me, Salman, I was watching some of his videos today. And something that was really hard for me and poignant is that in his video, it shows him having a dispute like with the authorities, and they come and then they like take all of his property from his family, and it shows him like being interrogated while blindfolded by the regime. And then it shows him in this music video filmed, I don't know, a while ago, like being tried, handcuffed in front of a revolutionary court. And I don't know, it really struck me to the extent of like all the stuff that happened in that video. It was a dramatization. Is it happening to him for real now? And I oh my gosh, it's just really it's really, really horrible. There was some other stuff that's happened in this past week that I wanted to get your opinions on, Armin, if we just have some kind of chit chat analysis. So I wanted to get your opinion on something that I've been observing. I've been noticing that a lot of people have started to express anger or dissatisfaction or frustration with people talking about the uprising as a women's revolution. A lot of people are like, no, this isn't a women's revolution. This is an uprising for a regime change. And I think they find Western media talking about this as a women's revolution or a feminist revolution to either be like reductionistic or worst case, like reform minded. But what do you think about people being like, no, this isn't a women's revolution. Stop talking about it like that.
Well, I mean, it was a woman-led revolution. It's not a women's revolution, okay? And when I said women's-led, like that's maybe that's not even shouldn't be accurate, like because there's a lot of men leaders as well, right? So when I say woman, that was before you had the camera. Before it was better. You don't need to change it. So it's the Islamic Republic of Iran oppresses and discriminates against a lot of many different groups of people, right? Not just women. Okay, a lot of the groups that are oppressed include men. Okay, and men in Iran have sacrificed a lot for this revolution.
100%.
Okay, and a lot of the victims, I would say, even most of the victims are. Am I accurate to say most of the victims are men?
In terms of
right?
who's been killed in this uprising?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
mostly men.
So it is fair to say that maybe we're doing men a disservice if we keep just highlighting the woman. Okay, but you can recognize that this is women have taken up a leadership role in this revolution and celebrate that. Okay, and also recognize the fact that the symbol of this revolution is one that was created by a woman. Okay, and women, the act of taking off the hijab by women has become the main symbol of this revolution, and the main chant of this revolution, which is Azan Zindagi Azadi, which means woman, life, freedom, is the main chant of this revolution. Okay, but the revolution is for everybody. Okay, is for men. It's not to just free women from the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's to free men as well from the Islamic Republic of Iran, right? But the only reason why highlighting women has become a significant tool is because it's the biggest oppressed group. Okay, it's not among all of the oppressed groups and discriminated against groups in Iran, whether it's the Baha'is, whether it's the Christians, the Jews, the Baluchis, the Sunnis, the Kurds, the Azeris, the Arabs, Iranian Arabs.
They all have women who are being oppressed.
Yes. And the average person, the average Iranian person, like even if you don't belong in any of these groups, you've been screwed over by this. The only people who haven't been screwed over by this regime are the people within the regime or its cronies or or its stooges, right? But again, the one that is just the most visible, okay, because of the size and also because the oppression method is visible, is like so visible, like it's kind of like putting chains on people, right? Like it's kind of like you can see, like the hijab is not itself the main thing that makes people feel like I'm not free. It's the symbol of I have a chain on you. You are within my control. Okay, and because it is the most visible symbol of oppression, it also becomes taking it off becomes also the most visible symbol of fighting back against this oppression. But we have to be careful. Fighting back against this oppression, it's not just about the oppression on women. Okay, we're just using this as a tool to symbolize every form of oppression in Iran. Okay, not just the ones that are women. So it's good to recognize that this has been a largely, but not all, woman-led revolution. But we have to understand that it's for everybody, not for women. And also we have to recognize the major sacrifice of Iranian men and not to just reduce it to a woman's revolution. Okay, as Susanna mentioned, most of the victims have been men. Okay, and it's also a bit unfair, well, not a bit, like very unfair, that the women who are killed get a lot more attention than the men are killed, the men who get killed, right? But not by Iranians, by the way, because maybe in foreign countries, like by Western countries, the women who get killed, they get a lot more attention. But Khoda Noor, which was like is now the main highlight of So who's a man?
Hulda Noor, like him being highlighted is like very recent though.
Yes.
And there was that other young man, I think his name was Mehrdad, the young chef. He was in Siavas. He was highlighted a lot as well. But it's still like really just a fraction. And the whole story behind Khoda Noor, like the details of it are not clear at all. But actually, we should talk about that a little bit. Can you pull up a photo? Because it's become like very significant, and I want people to know the context of like what we're actually saying.
Give me a second.
Okay.
In fact, you can read the live chat while I do that.
I don't know. People are agreeing or disagreeing about if it's reductionistic to just call it a feminist revolution or women's revolution. I don't know. I find it very interesting how I've seen a lot of Iranians criticize like Western media or like Oprah as an example, because Oprah was talking about it as saying that, oh, this is a women's revolution, this is a women's movement. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that, contrary to much of America's history, okay, the West actually does not have an appetite for regime change right now. The Western media doesn't have an appetite for regime change right now. Like, I don't think that as much as like anti-imperial leftists will, you know, be constantly harping about how the protests are distorted and these are all just calls for regime change, blah, 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 and how that's like apparently a red letter no matter the context, just the word regime change. Like, I actually think that Iranians in Iran and in the West do want regime change and are very clear about it. But Western media picking it up, they don't really highlight as much that aspect of it. I think that people don't have an appetite for it and we simply cannot tolerate instability in the region from many different angles, but particularly like our foreign policy angle. Like for the past several decades, my entire life and beyond, there's been so much instability because of these kinds of things happening. And Americans don't want to keep funding it anymore. Funding to try to clean up the consequences of blah, blah, blah. And, you know, a lot of stuff is our own fault. I'm not playing games like it's not. Okay. But I don't know, Armin, what do you think about that? Did I make any sense? I feel like I just rambled.
No, you're right. There's a lot of contradictions between what the foreign regimes are saying and what they actually want. And it's actually to figure out whether they want regime change or not. It's not as simple because a lot of them want and a lot of them don't want. And at the end of the day, they will want what we pressure them into wanting. So we can change that calculation, whatever that calculation is. But here's this picture. Do you want to explain what happened here while I find more pictures?
Yeah. So this is a photo of Khoda Noor. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his last name. I think it's Lajai. And he is a Baluch man. He was 27 years old. And there's a lot of differing accounts of like what happened in this photo. So I will tell the details. So there are some reports that this photo happened a few years ago. And then there are some reports that this photo happened a few months ago. But either way, Khoda Noor was reportedly killed in the Bloody Friday massacre that occurred on September 30th in Zahedan and Baluchistan and Sistan and
so
Baluchistan.
There's two different events. This one was a lot earlier when he was arrested, yes. But then, maybe a couple of months, a couple of years after this event, he was also part of the protests where he was killed. So this man
Yes.
was eventually killed. Apparently he was like part of on regime's radar even before the protest happens, because this was what happened to him before. But eventually he was killed. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, anyways, this photo in many ways has become a symbol for the Baluch people and the way in which they are downtrodden and oppressed by the regime. Because Kulanur, in whatever circumstances that this happened or when it happened, he was arrested, beaten, assaulted by the authorities. And then after all of this, he was tied to this pole, handcuffed to this pole in the heat of Baluchistan. And then they placed, you can see, they placed like a bottle or a glass of water in front of him beyond his reach. And then they took this photo and they publicized it as a way to try to humiliate him. Right.
And they sent it to his family.
Mm-hmm.
They sent a picture to his family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because this is the regime. If these reports are accurate, this is a regime that one of its religious stories are about Hussein, who was thirsty and couldn't drink water, and the evil army of Yazid was like withholding water from this martyr, from this Shia imam, which was the grandson of the prophet. Okay, but here you can see they're doing the same thing to this poor man, which is like he's from Sistan Baluchistan, which is part of Iran, which has been heavily oppressed by the regime, right? But look, the way they're treating the guy with this, like teasing him with this water, is the way that they, in their stories, in their religious stories, the evil army had done. So that's why it made a lot of people angry.
Yeah. So this photo of Hodanor has kind of gone viral recently, and people are taking this up as a symbol, particularly for the oppression of the Baluchis, but then also just the cruelty of the regime in general. And they use it as a way to highlight the oppression and impoverishment of Baluchistan. And so in a lot of protests nowadays, you'll see people basically replicating this photo. So yeah, exactly. That's a good photo. I was at a protest yesterday, and there were two women who chained themselves to poles and took their shoes off in the freezing cold to replicate this photo throughout the duration of the protest. And yeah, every time I see it, it just makes me want to cry.
Like that? You mean like that?
Mm-hmm. Wait, can you zoom in?
No, I can't. But let me actually show you one. I think this is in LA, right?
Yeah, that is in Los Angeles.
Yeah. So people, if you see people doing this, that's this act of protest for Khoda Nur, because that's how he was tied to the pole. And you can see actually a lot of Iranian sports. Okay, so here, like you can see people.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so another very significant thing that's been happening over the past week is we are seeing more protests from athletes, which is very significant because the regime uses when people score goals in different games like beach soccer or indoor soccer, whatever, they'll use that moment where they score the goal and the camera is on them to do a sign of protest. So this athlete, he goes and he sits down with his hands like, bound as if by handcuffs. There was another athlete. Oh, okay.
Wait, hold on.
گل اول برای تیم فولاد زرند ایرانیان. آمونه که یک بر صفر عقب هست و حالا 2 بر 0 عقب میفته.
Okay, yeah, Maya, right? I want to show you something very touching. So this is a traditional. So remember, these Baluchi, this part of the Baluchistan part of Iran. So a lot of Iranians are rediscovering. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that, but this is a part of Iran which is separate from the central parts of Iran, where it has. So this is Sistan Baluchistan part of Iran, and the traditions are different, and the dances are different, and the language is, the second language is different. Okay,
The clothing
but
is very different.
but one thing, when I was in Iran, we weren't familiar with these parts of Iran, right? The Arab part of Iran, or the Baluch part of Iran, or the Kurd part of Iran, or the Turk part of Iran was very distant from us who lived in Tehran, right? And the Islamic Republic, through its enmity towards the people, has brought all these people together, right? Like a lot of Iranians, like, because the Iranian government keeps acting like I keep you together by protecting you, but no, you're actually bringing us together by attacking us. Okay, the Iranian government keeps telling us, like, if I go away, the Iran will split into many different pieces. But it has been the opposite. It's true. So don't attack me. But Iranian people have realized, no, through attacking you, we have discovered each other, and we all like bonding with each other, right? So let me just show you, like, this is the traditional dance that he's dancing. So this is like, you can see that this is a man full of joy, full of love.
There's
full of
so
hope.
many videos of him dancing. There's so many.
Yeah, but so let me show you one clip of him dancing without any without like what people did with it. But look at this. Okay, so now this dance, look what this girl in Tehran, which is the central city, the capital of Iran. So this dance became very famous now. It's gone viral because, but so many people took this video and did so many different versions of it. But this one is my favorite, okay? And this is you can see this based on the monument behind it, that this is in Tehran, in the central city, right? So here. So yeah, you can see a lot of people celebrating celebration of his life, and the celebration of his dance has now become an official way for Iranian people to protest against the government, to be like, this is the people, every person that you kill, we go and celebrate, and we turn them into our martyrs, like are the people who we go discover and and highlight. And it's becoming such a disaster for the regime, because they don't know what to do, because they're like, if we don't kill people, then people will see that there's no barrier, there's no reason for them not to come into the street, because there's nobody shooting in them. But if they shoot people, every single one of these people who die are becoming a rallying cry and a reason for a whole bunch of other people to come out in the streets, right? So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And that's why one of the chants by the protesters are, for each one of us you kill, there's 1,000 more that will come out. That's what they're saying, right?
It's really beautiful. Like when you're at protests, I mean, you can see dozens of these videos from Tehran, but also like internationally. Like when I go to demonstrations, people are chanting, like from Tehran to Zahedan, like Iran is united, or from, Kurdistan to Zahedan, like I will sacrifice my life for Iran. Like I think it really shows how much people have become unified and so much more aware of all these disparate locations that have been purposefully separated by region and by culture and by language, and the regime plays upon it. And people are they refuse to buy into narratives of, you know, secessionists, jihadists, and stuff like that. They're like, no, these areas of Iran that are impoverished, that have been historically disenfranchised, like, you know, they are our eyes, our heart. Like, we're not leaving them behind when we move forward towards freedom.
Right,
I think
right.
it's really
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, it is. Yeah. So again, like as I mentioned, the regime tries to tell like, oh, don't, even if you don't like the Islamic Republic, you have to understand that if you get rid of me, this Kurdish and this Baluchi, these Turkish cessationists, they will rip Iran apart and there will be no Iran, right? But then Iranian people are chanting, you know, just like Susanna said, from Kurdistan to Baluchistan, I sacrifice for Iran, and they mention Iran because the cessationists wouldn't want to say Iran, but because they don't believe in the Iran as a unit, right? But you can see the chance, or even the Baluchis, who the government or the Kurdish people who the government accuses of being cessationists, they are chanting Iran, right? Or the Iranians who are not Kurdish. This is actually very significant. The chant that they have is Kurdistan Cheshma Chiragh Iran, right? Which means like Kurdistan is endeared, is the heart, is the love of the rest of Iran. So, like, no, you're not going to make us afraid of our fellow Kurdish Iranians. Like us Iranians who are not Kurdish, we love Kurdistan. It's like, and you can see chants by Iranian Azeris, which is the Turkish part of the Turkey part of Iran. They say like the Kurdistan part of Iran. The Turks of Iran are telling the Kurds of Iran that they'll have their backs. You know, that we will, yeah. So like that, like Kurdistan, like, you know, we are your guardians. We will protect you. Like go. So I don't know. It's just such a beautiful message of unity and beyond ethnic identities. You know what I mean? Like the whole lines of ethnicity look like they're becoming so meaningless, you know, like, you know, like we're in this together through the enemy that the Islamic Republic have become of the Iranian people. All of these lines and all of these barriers are just melting away, which is beautiful to see.
Did you ever think that
uh,
you'd see something like this?
no. Let me tell you something, Susie. I have had many cessationists, actual cessationists, right, that not the ones of the government, in our Persian clubhouse, which we
Oh yeah,
argued
no, you
with,
talked
and
to Kurdish insurgents, like legit insurgents.
legit insurgents. They say that they changed their mind. They're like, we used to be
What?
like, yeah, people who had their families killed by this regime, okay, and they were like, they were like rising up farce against anybody who's farce. Like they called farce people fascist, right?
Yeah.
You're saying, how could I say that anymore when I hear Kurdistan, Cheshma Chiragh, Iran by my fellow Iranians?
Oh.
I still say that. Yeah. So yeah. Um, I will read some of these super chats.
Yeah, we have a lot of super chats.
Thank you guys. You guys are being very generous. Gretchen is saying, at least we can perfectly hear Susanna. Oh yeah, this was when you didn't have the when we had technical difficulties. Miss Shah is saying, this is, oh wait, did I read his name right? Grey J, yes. Miss Shah is saying, this is why I'm so against capital punishment. These people's lives for F's sakes it's disgusting. Yes. Would you be against capital punishment for the pro-regime people who did this when the regime is toppled? That's it, you know. That's another
Yes.
conversation. Varun is saying, any similarity to Baluch in Pakistan? By the way, this guy's dance looks North India to me. Oh, any similarity to? Yeah, no, they're the same people. Like you're saying the Baluchi people in Iran, are they similar to Baluch people in Pakistan?
Yeah, they're just
Yeah, I
separated
mean,
by a border. It's
yeah,
like
this is the
it's
the
literally
Baluchi in
next door to
Pakistan.
each other.
Yeah, this is like they are just the same ethnicity separated by the Iran-Pakistan border and Afghanistan too. There's some of them are in Afghanistan. By the way, a dirty trick. Did you hear the government to make like this guy that we just showed you who was killed by the regime? The government saw that a lot of people were rising up in support of him. Do you know to try to reduce the anger by Iranians? You know what the government did? The government said that this guy was actually an Afghani. Like, he's not Iranian. And this like made so many people angry. So like, wait a second, you're saying we shouldn't be angry? By the way, just for people who like, give you some context, the Sistan Baluchistan part of Iran, a lot of people's Iranian citizenship is challenged because the government doesn't have proper documentation for them, right?
They're undocumented. And they're partially undocumented because the government refuses to give them documentation when they're born because their names are too foreign.
And because they're Sunni, right? So the government doesn't want to make them Iranian. They're trying to like make them stateless. They're like foreigners in their own country, in the country that they're born, right? So it's easy to challenge someone's Iranian citizenship, even though they were born in Iran and lived in Iran their entire life, right? But the government is like, oh, this guy wasn't actually Iranian, he was Afghani, as a way to tell the protesters, like, don't be upset. This guy wasn't even Iranian. And it made people more angry. They're like, what are you talking about? Like this guy's a human being. Like, okay, he's not Iran. Like, it's just like, it just shows where the regime.
They did a self-report on their own racism.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, if we tell them it was an Afghan, people are too racist that they won't care. And people are like, actually,
quiet.
No, you're racist. What the hell?
Yeah. Yes, so I was getting really angry, which is justifiable. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the stuff that Afghans have to go through is brutal.
Varun is saying Armin is Baluch, not Baluchi. That is language. Well, in Persian language, Baluchi refers to like Iran, like in English you say Iranian, in Persian you say Irani. Okay, like for example, American, in Persian you say Amrikai. Okay. So you might not say Baluchi, but in Persian we say Baluchi. Baluchi. Turk. Some like if somebody's Turk, you say it's Turkish. We say Turkey, right? So the E, putting the E at the end is Persian.
How does it feel to be corrected on your own native language?
No, it wasn't.
But wrong.
No. But maybe it's like based on English. Maybe he's right. Like he was considering that I'm speaking English. I forget his name again. How do you pronounce his name? GJ saying Iran is rapidly going either towards revolution, civil war, or Shia type Islamic State, Taliban, or Saudi. What do you think? Actually, that's a very exhaustive list. It's one of these three. Okay. I say that last one is the least likely. Because these people, if you manage to get rid of the Islamic Republic of Iran, it's very unlikely for a tyrant to be able to maintain control over these people that just topple the regime like that, right? So that is the least likely. And I would say it might be a mix of number one and number two. Like you might have a couple of years of civil war and instability, okay? But eventually it will settle and you would have... if the revolution is successful, I would expect a little bit of instability before everything settles down and we have a proper secular democracy.
Of course.
Yes.
And GJ just gave another €2 super chat to say something to Suha, one of our moderators, saying, "My pleasure, you're welcome." I think
thank you.
Suha was saying thank you to GJ for the super chat, and he gave another super chat to say thank you to our mod. That's very sweet.
Don't keep going. Maybe thank him again. So I keep going back.
It's just a rotating. Well, thank you for all the support, everyone. It really makes everything we do here possible. So let's go to the next news.
Yeah, like literally, without these super chats, we don't have enough to pay our bills. So thank you for the super chats. Okay, can we clap for the next news?
Yes. Well, I mean, sure.
It's not a good news.
In comparison to everything else,
people keep asking us, this was a bad news, so why did you clap? Our standard is if nobody was molested, murdered, or tortured, it's clappable news. Okay, so this is not good news, but we have to. Yeah, we'll take.
We have to clap for something.
Yeah, we have to clap for. Next
Next news. Pope Francis dodges question on Mahsa Amini and Iran protests. Pope Francis answered questions from reporters aboard the papal plane on November 6th after his recent 4-day trip to Bahrain. One of the questions asked was how Mahsa Amini, whose death sparked an outcry in Iran and worldwide, and whether the Pope supported the protests in the country. For context, Iran's morality police detained 22-year-old Mahsa Amini for not wearing her hijab properly. She died in police custody, causing massive demonstrations across the Islamic Republic and other countries. Pope Francis didn't directly call out Iran or give a straightforward answer. Instead, he discussed how women in some countries are treated as second-class citizens and that the fight for women's rights worldwide remains a quote-unquote continuous struggle. He stated, quote, "We have to continue struggling for this because women are a gift. God did not create man and then give him a lapdog to play with. He created both equal, man and woman." Aside from giving a lengthy response on the general issue of women's rights, Pope Francis also called female genital mutilation a criminal act that must be stopped. So I thought this was interesting because when this was reported in other media, the headline was, Pope Francis speaks out against female genital mutilation, blah, blah, blah. And I went to go read it, and then I realized that actually, he wasn't asked about this at all. He was asked about Mahsa Amini. And then he didn't really talk about it at all. And then he started talking about FGM instead. And I don't know why the Pope would dodge this kind of question.
Maybe he didn't look into it? Maybe he was like, God damn it. I haven't been briefed on this. Huh? Which would be weird. Why would he dodge that question? Why would he dodge that question?
I don't know. I was watching some Catholic reporting agency talking about it, and they're basically saying that he was being political or whatever, but I don't know what political interest he has in this case. Because in terms of his history, with the regime, he very clearly favored Ayatollah Sistani in Iraq, who's a firm secularist, over Khamenei, which was a very clear, powerful message that the regime was butthurt over. So I don't know. It's very confusing to me.
People, and FGM. Some people in the left chat are asking, do people do FGM in Iran? I mean, technically, there's no law against it in FGM, but if it happens, it's not that. I don't think it's that common. I mean, even if it does happen, there are other countries, North African countries, are FGM. So FGM and Iran, I don't want to dismiss as unimportant the amount of FGM that does happen in Iran, which I don't know. I'm sure it happens a little bit, but I don't know exactly how much. But it's just not something that you think of when you think about Iran and Islam. You would think
it's North much Africa. Less common in Shiism either way.
Yeah, you would think North Africa. That's what you would think. So I don't know why he thinks of FGM when you talk about Mahsa Amini. I just think if I had to guess, I just think God damn it, I didn't do my homework on this. That's what I think happened.
Yeah, he went on.
This is how the teacher asks you if you read the chapter. Yeah, asks you a question about the chapter that you were supposed to read, and you just try to figure something out based on the title of the book, or you just come up with impromptu. I think that was he was trying to do. He was acting like he did his homework, but he didn't.
If he had spoken about it, do you think it would have been beneficial?
Oh yeah, for sure. What the hell? Iran right now needs Iranian protesters need all the news highlight that they could get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Pope coming out and saying something, even though I hate this guy, it would have been very good. It would have been another excuse to keep the Iran news alive and around the world. Now, I mean, this guy, but the things he said, so many people follow what this man says, right? And a lot of people, just because they're Catholic, if he says something, they're gonna okay, whatever he said, right? So that would be a major plus for pressure on the Iranian government. Major plus.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of stupid Catholics are just like anti, just in support of like fighting climate change, for green energy and stuff. Not because they looked into it, just because this guy said something. You know what I mean? So, I mean, Catholics, a lot of them are conservative, and conservatives are stupid, so they're about to. They don't take a strong position against like fighting climate change, right? But when it comes to this guy says something, and all of a sudden they're on board, right? So yeah, we could have used that, herd mentality here a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. Like when it benefits us, because like we're all for it.
God damn it. The digs. Yeah, he like went on to talk about how a society that is not capable of allowing women to have greater roles does not move forward. A society that cancels women from public life is a society that grows poor. Yeah, I don't know. I wish it was more direct. But yeah, you're probably right. He probably doesn't know the details and was just like, let's talk about women's rights in general. Although it was funny when I was reading reactions to this news, everyone, because the highlight from it in other news agencies was about FGM. Oops, I just messed up my notes. And people in the comments were going off about how, like, okay, well, why don't you talk about male genital mutilation?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's another story. We don't want to get into that right now.
Yeah. But I really liked that, like, when I was looking at reactions to this, that was a highlight of the reaction to this, was like people actually talking about male circumcision and how it's freaking wrong. So I don't know. It's cool to kind of see more people take that stance.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a good point. Check the private chat as well. I'm going to read some of the live chat. Darko saying the church has so many different interests. It's hard to figure out what game the Pope is playing at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I just think he was confused. I'm pretty sure with the criticism, next time they ask him, I'm almost sure the next time they ask him the same question, he's going to have something better to say. We'll see.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, we got a super chat. We don't really know how to answer this question, but so GJ is saying, thank you again for the €2 super chat. It's saying, how big are your bills? Ballpark. Well, we have
per what? Per month? Per quarter? Per year?
Per month, it's at least 8,000. I don't know.
No.
What? More or less?
Less.
Okay, 6,000.
Yeah, that's closer. There's 6, some variability, but generally, yeah.
Yeah. 6,000 a month. So thank you guys for donating. That's all your money is going towards. We have staff that we pay. We have software that we pay. We have legal fees, accounting fees, and we have people who we're supposed to pay we're not paying because we don't have enough money, but we're supposed to be paid. Okay, so if we have exactly, so,
AKA me.
Yes, Susanna is supposed to be paid, and she's not paid because we don't have enough money. So if you could become a patron, and one day we'll be eventually. Susanna does a lot of work, a lot of hours she puts in her work, and she's not getting paid for it. So help us get to a place where we could actually pay our CEO. Thank you very much, everybody.
I don't know. It's hard because when we do have extra funds, sometimes
we get extra money.
Take it.
Yeah, sometimes we get like a good donation, and like, Susie, let's pay Susie. And Susanna like, but we could do this instead. I'm like, but Susie, you haven't been paid. They're like, yeah, but I don't feel like I should get paid. Like, you're the CEO. Why shouldn't you get paid first? She feels guilty for some reason to pay herself. All right. Okay. Can we go to the next news now? Oh, why is this?
Yes. Oh, this is juicy.
All right. And is it clappable?
Yeah, this is fine.
Okay. Next news.
Next news. Australian Muslim student allegedly forced to watch Muhammad cartoon. A Melbourne school is under fire for allegedly forcing a Muslim high school student to watch a cartoon depicting Prophet Muhammad, prompting an investigation from the Victorian state government. A teacher working for Mount Ridley College in, oh man, the names of these Australian towns is weird. Mount Ridley College in Craburn? I don't know. Allegedly showed the material during a media lesson on October 14th. Depictions of the prophet are forbidden in most denominations of Islam. The high school student's father said on Facebook that the cartoon caused, quote, painful psychological and mental trauma to his daughter. Quote, my daughter also tried to express her discomfort at the video, but unfortunately, the teacher didn't care and continued to play the video, forcing my child to view that content. Some sources indicate that the students were warned first before seeing the material and were free to leave if they wished. The Muslim student spoke against the cartoon but did not leave the class, and the teacher continued to show the material. Speaking to The Guardian and Daily Mail, the spokesperson for the Victoria Education Department said that the department began an investigation into the incident and promised to support students affected by the event. So, okay, there's some details that are not completely clear here. Like, was the student actually forced to watch this, or were they given the opportunity to leave, but then chose not to leave? It's not entirely clear. But this is pretty significant because in 2020, this is very similar to what led up to the beheading and murder of French civic teacher Samuel Paty, who was murdered after there was a rumor that spread on Facebook that he had forced children to see Charlie Hebdo cartoons of Prophet Muhammad in a lesson about free speech and secularism, and that and then a guy from Chechnya came and then beheaded this teacher on their campus. And the problem is that the whole story behind what happened with Samuel Paty turned out to be a lie. It wasn't even true. Like, the whole story that he was forcing students to watch this, blah, blah, blah. No, he gave students the opportunity to leave if they wanted. And if they didn't want, he was going to continue with the lesson as planned. And then rumors spread on Facebook. A mosque amplified these rumors and had like hate speeches against him, essentially. And then it resulted in his death. And so with this incident, I am naturally skeptical about what the narrative is. I mean, I know it's a different situation. It's a different country on the other side of the world. But we've seen before in the past how reports of these instances aren't even necessarily entirely true. The girl that in France who circulated this rumor basically did so because she was like influenced by her parents to be like, yeah, you were so offended, right? You were forced to watch this, blah, blah, blah. So I'm a little bit skeptical when there's someone else's dad on Facebook talking about what happened. Like, it's not entirely clear. But wait, go ahead. You go first.
Now, do we know if the teacher gave the trigger warning for people to leave if they don't like to?
There are different reports. It's not entirely clear. There is a counter narrative that he did give a warning and he did allow students to leave if they want. And that the student voiced that she didn't like it, but continued to sit anyways. There are some reports of that.
Okay, if that's true, then what the hell are complaining about?
Well, I
which
mean,
is-
so okay, let's just think theoretically. Okay, people might be offended that this was shown at all. And this kind of content, this kind of material is apparently not typically within their curriculum, blah, blah, blah. And so now that they're doing a full review and they're not going to allow this kind of material in the curriculum, make sure it doesn't happen again, that kind of thing. But I have a kind of a devil's advocate position.
Go on.
So if okay, let's
Wait,
say
before you do that, I just was looking this. That's why I was like thinking. Okay, in university, okay, University of British Columbia, we were made to watch a movie called The Birth of a Nation. Okay, and this was English class. We watched the movie and we were supposed to do a write up on it. Okay, after we watched it. And we watched it in class. They played it on screen. Okay. Do you know what The Birth of a Nation is?
Yeah, it's like one of the most racist movies ever made.
It is the most racist thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay, on a movie. Okay, it's basically a pro KKK movie. That's what it is. It's the propaganda of how it came about and why it's the best thing ever. Okay. And we watched that. We watched that and we had black students. We had black students in class. Okay, nobody minded, but like it wasn't like the fixed part of the curriculum. Every teacher picked their own movie, or maybe not even a movie. Like I don't know. Like this was this teacher's picking. Like just because it's not part of the curriculum, it doesn't mean that why are you showing that this is not part of the curriculum? Well, like the teacher has some flexibility and what they want to expose you to be, yeah. So I mean, if I had to watch a pro KKK movie, okay, and do a write up on it, then you guys, this is nothing compared to that. Yeah.
Okay, but people would say, well, that's different because you're in university. Okay, you're a legal adult. You have more autonomy. You're more mature.
How old were these kids?
They're in high school.
Okay, that's still they're not that young. Okay.
I know. I mean, I agree, but I'm just, thinking about how other people might phrase it. The other thing that I was going to say is that, okay, what if someone, Armin, makes the argument that, okay, even if the teacher gives the warning about what is going to be shown and allows children and students to leave the classroom when this kind of content is being shown, what would you say to someone who says that actually these children are still forced to see the cartoon because as an adolescent, you are hyper conscious of the judgment of your peers. You might be worried about how if you leave, it would change the opinion of your teacher towards you. Maybe they fear that it would change how their participation grade, is considered. And so because of the social dynamics at play, especially for someone as vulnerable as a teenager, because we know psychologically teenagers are obsessed with social positioning. It's just a fact. That it is still a form of coercion.
Okay, I would buy that argument if it was equally being implemented equally. Maybe I don't know if I would buy that argument. Okay, I have to speak to experts on stuff, right? Education experts. Okay, but if they say that and there's no outrage, if all of a sudden the teacher comes and says like, "Oh, by the way, Muslims, the Islamic religion is so beautiful," you know what I mean? And there's no backlash towards that, or Christianity, for example, right? Say, for example, the teacher comes and says, "By the way, Jesus loves you. I just want to let you guys all know, Jesus loves you." Okay, and you're like, "Hey, I'm offended about that. Why are you telling that to my kid?" If a parent comes and says, I'm offended that you told my kids that, oh, by the way, I just want to let you guys know that I'm a Muslim. As right now is Ramadan and we're fasting. I just wanted to let you know that that's an information that you shouldn't have. Okay. And a parent came and said, like, hey, you shouldn't told my kid that. My kid didn't. I don't like you to force this upon my kid, or Jesus loves you. If you don't, if there's no outrage regarding that, but there's outrage here, then there's inconsistency. Okay. And how far do you want to police this? Because if you want to police this, then you have to police all of that. Then the teacher can't say anything bad about Islam, anything good about Islam, anything bad about Christianity, anything good about Christianity. You have to be, and then it would be a nightmare. Like, how are you going to police that?
Wait, but that's not addressing my point, which is more towards the experience of the student. Like, a student might not feel, they might want to refuse to watch it, but they might not feel able to refuse to watch it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. Because it would be
technically they're allowed, but they fear social consequences. So in reality, they don't feel like they are able to refuse.
Kind of like when we complain when there's a class prayer and the teacher says, if you don't want to pray, you can step outside. And we're like, that's not how it works. If the kid step outside, he's going to be ostracized and seen as different. Right?
Exactly. It's exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I see your point. Okay, based on that, I would say that maybe I would agree that in high school this shouldn't be shown. Okay, but university, you're like, then you're an adult. Like, if you like, I feel bad stepping out. Like, come on, like maybe.
Well, also, I mean, in America, university has become extremely intellectually coddled. Okay, but university is supposed to be the place where you're challenged. Intellectually.
Okay, fair point. Okay, I would agree that maybe you shouldn't be showing as a way to be fair to Muslim students who might feel too much pressure, because they're still kids. I would agree that maybe in high school you shouldn't be showing these things, but you shouldn't be complaining about it if it's been shown in a university.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Yeah. I think it's difficult when you're an adolescent, and for all the reasons I just outlined. But at the same time, I still feel like it's worthwhile to discuss these things with young adults.
You're right. I changed my opinion. You're right. I'm convinced.
No, I mean, but Armin, at the same time, part of me is like, I think it could be valuable to have these conversations.
No, too late. Too late. You changed my mind already.
High schoolers.
Too late. No, too late, because you're right. Because we made the same argument for when there's class prayers, right? Prayers in class. So, yeah. You want the place to be welcoming to even Muslim students. You don't want to stress out Muslim students. You want them to be able to feel like we're you want Muslim students to feel this is how you separate Muslims and from the rest of society, by making them feel like these environments are not welcoming to them, right? I think by university you have to understand that society is not going to like just coddle to you every time, right? But I think when you're in high school it's too soon for that.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I'm a little bit torn though, because I think, especially in the upper levels of being a high schooler,
I'm not even going to answer this question. What the hell? Look at weirdo! What a weirdo! God damn it! Okay.
Pakistani Defense Force is asking Armin, is it okay to force students to watch prawn too? Adult video content too? What does that have to do with anything?
God damn it! Sometimes. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna rant right now. Okay.
You're like, where is this even coming from?
Oxymoron, I disagree with you. Saying no need to discuss. People figure out stuff eventually. No purpose of government funded schools.
What? This is one of your dumbest takes yet. There's no purpose to government-funded education. No purpose to government-funded education.
We discuss so many social aspects of life in university. I don't know. Have you not been to a university, Oxymoron? Like, we discuss like cultural events. We talk about movies, theater. We talk about the
He's not even
influence on
talking about university. He said no purpose of government-funded schools.
at all. No, like these are important things, and we discussed the nuance and details of these things in university. That's the whole point of university. I don't know, our schools.
Armin, I'm saying it's broader than university. He's saying schooling in general.
Yeah, like in high school, you go and people, like, for example, you talk about cultural stuff that is affecting society a lot. You have to talk to the kids. You have to talk to high school students about that. You have to talk to this is where else would you have nuanced discussions about this? Where? So you want the high school kids to have figure these things out on social media? You have to, if high school and university is not a place for you to create a more stronger base for you to be able to have these discussions in a much more constructive way, then what the whole point, what's the point of these places, right? Anyways,
I for one value having a literate nation. So I am for free education.
Yeah, I think oxymoron thinks like high school is just where you go learn math and science and chemistry and then that's it, right? I don't think so. I think it's good if your teachers give you tools in how to deal with other stuff in life. Or you don't want to build an army of robots that just know how to work, right? You also want to build a society that handles conversations like this a lot more maturely. So I think it makes sense.
You also need to imbue the values that you want to maintain in the citizenry.
Yeah.
In an educated way at an early age.
Exactly. This is why you should teach them about LGBT stuff at school. God,
oh shit!
This is why you need to tell kids, okay, not even high school students, okay, from elementary, okay, that what trans people are a thing, okay, and you have to deal with it. And you have to, just make their conservative parents angry. There's two benefits when it comes to teaching kids about LGBT stuff, right? First of all, they will handle societal issues like that a lot better. Okay, they will also become a lot more accepting. But the cherry on top is that you make their conservative parents angry. Okay, that's the number one benefit you get from that.
Okay, I can already see the comment section now, just filled with groomer.
That's priceless. Yeah. Okay, well, we have another Muhammad pick.
You're so childish. Taking shots at conservative, like out of left field, this entire show.
Okay. Pakistan Defense Force is saying that's social engineering, Armin. But exactly, engineering it for the better. You're making society. It is improving society is engineering society, but you're engineering it for the better. Okay, you're making a more loving and more accepting society. If that's what you mean by social engineering, then I'm all for it. All right, can we clap for the next news?
Why are you like this? I guess we can clap for the next news.
All right, next news.
Blasphemous video sparks protest of thousands in Mali. On November 4th, thousands of Muslims protested in Mali's capital, Bamako, against a quote-unquote blasphemous video on social media. The video in question reportedly shows a man insulting the Prophet, the Quran, and Muslims. Although the government has condemned the video, Mali's 95% Muslim population is unsatisfied. The High Islamic Court of Mali organized the protest and called for the death of the man in the video, who is so far unidentified. The protesters held signs reading "No to blasphemous comments" and "No more attacks on Islam and the Prophet Muhammad." According to the prosecutor's office, 6 men have been detained for sharing the video. They are being held for information regarding the whereabouts of the person responsible. As of this writing, all 6 have refused to cooperate and are accused of complicity. So D is pointing out in the live chat that unfortunately we were not able to find the supposed blasphemous video in question, which is too bad because I always like to find those things and see them.
Well, that's a good thing, actually. That means like other people can't find it either and identify who the person is.
I mean, it's probably more of a language barrier situation.
Oh, okay.
You know, like if they were speaking the same language, they might. I'm assuming. Okay, assumption alert. They would be easier for them to find it. But regardless, if you scroll down in our post, we have a video that we can watch. The crowds are massive. It's crazy.
This many people showed up over a video. Oh my God! What the hell? What is this? Over a blasphemous. These are angry people over a blasphemous video. Guys,
the
butt
one of the organizers of
doing the stocks for the butt cream company is going. What? You know the butt hurt cream. It is. I think somebody needs to have start a franchise for that in Mali.
Oh my God!
I'm yeah, like what? Oh my God!
The only thing I heard was stocks for the butt cream. I was like,
wait. You keep talking while I go find what I'm talking about. Okay, go on.
Oh my God. No, okay, so according to one of the organizations that organized these protests, they said that 1 million people attended the protests. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but some of these photos are shockingly large. In the D is saying Atheist Republic marketing, love it. So wait, if you go to our post, I scroll down to the bottom because I want to show this video.
Do you have audio? Oh
no.
The protesters in Mali held a rally on Friday organized by the High Islamic Council of Mali. The demonstration was in response to a social network video in which insulting remarks were made about Islam and a man trampled on a copy of the Quran. Although the government has condemned the video, many Muslims remain furious. There are people who have blasphemed our prophet, he says, our religion, our holy book, the Quran, and our holy place, the Kaaba. That's why we went out to say that we don't agree with that. We only want our rights, she says. We must not blaspheme our prophet, our Allah, because it is our priority. We ask God that those who have done these acts may be punished in an exemplary way before the whole world. We tell our authorities to take their responsibilities. It is true that Mali is a secular country, but we are more numerous than all other religions. 95% of Mali's population is Muslim, and organizers of the protest have claimed over 1 million people took to the streets around Independence Boulevard in Bamako.
Holy crap, look at that population.
Okay, actually, that is a lot more than I thought. It's crazy.
This is a lot of butthurt. Look at the sea of butthurt. Unbelievable. Over an offense, over a video? Oh my God. Okay. And also,
I thought that the comment that lady said was very significant, though. Because she's
we're
saying,
secular, but we're more of us.
Right?
There's like, we might be secular, but look at our numbers. Like, submits to our numbers.
I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Self-report.
Wait. This is what I'm talking about. Hold on. Give me a second. We'll go back to
Mali. You and this butthurt cream. Oh my God.
Are you fed up with toxic players, rage fests, and constant whining in games and on social media? Games that should be filled with joy and excitement are full of salt and guys saying things like, not even Noah and his ark could carry these animals. And to stop this, we present a breakthrough discovery in medical sciences, the butthurt cream. 9 out of 10 CSGO players recommend it. The revolutionary secret formula.
Anyways, just some marketing. We could go back to Mali now. You just have to. Just wanted to provide some context about what I'm saying. I just think Mali could use a little bit of that. By the way, look at this. Like, people in Iran are protesting over their rights. They're like, I wish we could get this population, like, in Iran, like millions of people out in the streets, right? But we can't because they're shooting people. Okay, but these people are out in the street, like, over a video. They want somebody dead. They want the person dead. This many people in Mali are showing up in the streets because they want a person that made a video dead. God damn it. And why are the people who are arrested not cooperating? Like, they want, like, why? Because they're just
Reportedly. I don't know. They're saying, like, oh, you know who this guy is, and they're refusing to give him up. I don't know how much there's any credence to that. Apparently, one of the people that was arrested, was a kind of a religious figure who's trying to bring back Egyptian religion to Mali, kind of like bringing back Nubian spirituality to Mali. And so he's like had insults to Abrahamic religions in the past. So I'd be very curious to see if they're actually just taking this as an opportunity to go after him. What I mean, like, that's complete speculation on my part. Like, maybe they're like, okay, well, while we're at it, we can use this to go after this guy who's trying to, like, have us give up Abrahamism,
Can we make a blasphemous art for Mali?
Sure. What would it be?
I don't know. Maybe we could have Muhammad and something. I don't know. We have to be careful not to make it perceived as racist. Give us your ideas. Make sure it doesn't come out as racist. We could celebrate. Oh, wait a minute. You said this guy wanted to bring the Nubian religion back to Mali. That's why they were anti-Islamic?
Something like that, yeah. I read a little bit about that.
Well, we could have a Nubian god shoving Quran up Muhammad's butt or something like that. How about that? Like, we could have Muhammad tied up, and the Nubian god was just basically shoving. No?
Oh my god!
Do they have female gods?
I don't know.
Guys, we might do this. So subscribe to our newsletter because we make beautiful blasphemous art every single week. So if you want to see that, people are saying sounds great. Yes, I would like to see that. LOL. Okay, Susie, they like it. You look, people think that would be nice. What do Nubian gods look like?
Pakistani Defense Force is saying Armin has a perverted mind.
Of course.
And I tend to agree.
Did you just discover that right now? Yeah, proudly so. Wait, the Nubian gods are just the Egyptian gods. Okay,
yeah.
We'll just have an Egyptian god shove the Quran up Muhammad's butt. Guys, okay, we are civilized people here, okay? All of our blasphemous art is consensual, right? So if we make an Egyptian god shoving the Quran up Muhammad's butt, we will make it very, very obvious that Muhammad is enjoying it, okay? Because we are, as perverted as we are, we do not agree with anything that is without consent, okay? This would be Muhammad completely being into what's happening to him. Yeah, people like it. People say that's a nice idea. Look, we think I'm perverted. Like, look at our audience. We have surrounded ourselves by perverts.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh, actually, speaking of pre-Islamic gods and goddesses, we should go to the next news.
Ooh, okay.
Oh wait, but first, before we do that, we got a super chat from Dean Kruger of 140 South African whatever currency. I don't know what it's called. It's saying #tithe. Thank you, Brother Dean, for your tithe. And thank you for being the lovely host of the Atheist Republic Cape Town YouTube channel. Guys,
yes, go check it out. If
you want to check out the Atheist Republic African community, make sure to go look at Atheist Republic Cape Town. where Dean and a bunch of other people in our South African consulates join together and talk about issues that they face as African atheists, which is super cool.
We got a 50 euro super chat right now. And thank you so much,
Wow,
GJ.
thank you, GJ.
Very generous, all caps. Do you want to read that?
Yeah, sorry, this comment is late, but what the Pope spoke out against female genital mutilation, isn't that massively clappable?
Sure, let's clap for that. Wait a minute. No, it's not clappable. What do they always like, I guess, female genital mutilation?
It's not exactly the newest thing.
Oh.
He's been against FGM for a while.
Okay, but we'll clap anyways. Thank you, Pope. Thank you for meeting this very low standard. But thank you for being against torturing little babies. Just the female
only
ones.
the female ones, not the male ones.
Thank you for only being for only torturing little baby boys, but not little baby girls. That's progress. Yay! Thank you, and thank you for the 50 euro super chat. That's really generous. Really generous. Oh, we should read this comment.
Oh, Young Atheist saying best CEO. I love you, Susanna. Aw, thank you. Love to our young atheists in Pakistan.
Susie, remember these beautiful comments when people give you bad comments, okay? We like there's a lot more of this than the horrible comments that people send.
Okay.
Look, people are clapping for the Pope. Yay! Not torturing little baby girls. Yay! Okay. Close. All right. Can we? Oh, you said we can't clap for the next one.
Yes.
Okay. Next thing.
Next news. Ancient, possibly pre-Islamic Christian monastery discovered in the United Arab Emirates. On November 3rd, officials announced news of discovering an ancient Christian monastery, perhaps predating Islam, on Sinai Island off the coast of the United Arab Emirates, or UAE. The monastery possibly dates back to the years before Islam spread across the Arabian Peninsula. It was the second monastery discovered in the Emirates after archaeologists found the first Christian monastery in the country on Surbani Yas Island in the early 1990s. The carbon-dated samples from the ancient monastery's foundations determined that the monastery was founded between 534 and 656 AD. Prophet Muhammad was born around 570 AD and passed away in 630 AD after conquering Mecca in Saudi Arabia. A collection of buildings,
Allegedly, we don't know that for sure.
Okay, yes. According to legend. A collection of buildings, possibly belonging to a pre-Islamic village, according to archaeologists, were also located a few hundred miles from the monastery. Timothy Power, an associate professor of archaeology at the UAE University, said, quote, "It's really fascinating discovering because in some ways it's a hidden history. It's not something that's widely known."
You know why I say allegedly? Because nothing was like this was found around Mecca, which is supposed to have been the center of trade around that area. Okay, but no, you find something like this in UAE. So the whole Mecca being as significant of a city as the Quran claims and everything, as the like Sirah claims and all, it's just questionable. Yeah.
So, Armin, what do you think the significance of this is in terms of countering dominant Islamic narratives about the Arabian Peninsula?
Well, I don't know about this specific one, but it just reminds us once again, okay, that we have been digging and digging and digging, and we have found nothing like this around Mecca, okay? So it challenges the Islamic narrative, right? So I just a reminder of that, because if there was like you will see like stuff like this like, are found, you know, it is kind of like the story of in the Bible where where the Jews were supposed to have been slaves in Egypt, and they have like that mass exodus. Like if that actually had happened, there would be way more evidence. Like there would be evidence for it. Like you don't have a movement that size from Egypt to Israel without
For
a
40
trace.
years.
Without a trace, without any trace, any archaeology. Like yeah, sure, no, that did not happen. Also, the war against the people that lived, the Canaanites, the uprising. Like, oh yeah, sure, there's no arrows here, there's no swords here. Like the uprising seemed to have been like with not a war, it was like a peasant versus master kind of revolution. And the Jews were already living there. So anyway, it just like shows like the narratives of the Bible and the Quran are constantly challenged by archaeological findings. I don't know exactly how this plays into that, but it just reminds me of that.
Well, I mean, I just meant in terms of, I think maybe in popular consciousness, people just assume that the Arabian Gulf was like kind of always this way, but it wasn't. It had a very vast and rich pre-Islamic culture. I mean, people like Muslims are more aware of the pre-Islamic culture because they highlight the extent to which Muhammad was a counter to that, right? So there is actually an awareness, obviously, of the paganism.
Oh yeah, the Jahiliyat period, which is they call it that time before the Islam, the age of ignorance. Actually, they call the entire world before Islam the age of ignorance. But they're like, yeah. So the way that when you read Islamic account of the world, they make it seem like the whole world was in chaos before Islam showed up. Kind of like in Christianity. I was fascinated to see like in Christianity, like, oh yeah, before the Old Testament, before the 10 commandments, like nobody knew like that you're not supposed to steal or murder, right? Like people were just like randomly killing each other left and right before the 10 commandments, right? We kind of have the same narrative in Islam. They're like the age of ignorance, which is the age before Islam. The narrative is that in these regions, people just buried their daughters alive. Like, yeah, like, oh, another daughter to bury alive, just like that's like almost certainly did not happen. Okay, especially because girls were valuable commodity, very valuable commodity.
But people do that. They do that to this day.
I know, but not on a mass scale that Islam, like experts have said, came out and said, like, the way Islam says, like, men just always buried their girls alive, like that was like something that was so rampant that it almost certainly did not happen back before Islam. You know, maybe there was one guy who did it, and there's a story like just like went viral, but it wasn't a widespread practice at all. But Islam like makes it seem like that was just the norm. And actually, if you look at what the actual norm was before Islam, the norm was a lot better than Islam, what Islam introduced in that area. Like women's rights were respected very much, a lot more than what Islam introduced. In fact, like Muslims are like, oh, we came and we gave inheritance rights to women, Islam. And before Islam, women couldn't even own property. And like, what are you talking about? Muhammad's wife before Islam was a rich businesswoman. Like, what are you talking? Like, no, based on your own narratives, you had property rights for women before Islam. Okay, and also the woman in Medina had a lot more rights than women. Okay, I'm getting into too much detail, but I don't want to get yeah. So, oh, by the way, Islam. I don't know if this is going to tie into that, but a lot of scholars have suggested that Islam originally was not even Islam until the Umayyad and Abbasid made it Islam. Like during the time of Muhammad, okay, what Islam was a Christian sect that eventually it turned into Islam. The Umayyads and Abbasid changed it, rebranded it enough for it to become its own religion, right? So I don't know if this whole Christian monastery being found close to there, how that's going to help, how is that going to tie into that narrative or not? But it would be interesting to see, because
it certainly shows the influence in the region in a very close time frame.
Yeah, the presence of Christians in that region is very well documented, and the brand of Christianity that was there at the time of when Islam or the proto Islam started to show up was a Christianity that did not consider Jesus to be the Son of God. Right? It's considered Jesus.
Right.
It's considered it was a Christianity that considered Jesus to be a prophet of God, and because when Christianity was being canonized, all these heretical views like left the main Christian centers, and some of them came and to these places, but as from fear of persecution, they went and came to these other places, including in Arabia, right? And that sect of Christianity, one of those sects of Christianity, which considered Muhammad to be a prophet of God, eventually turned into Islam. And if you could actually see that a lot of the Quranic verses in the Quran were actually Christian prayers that wanted to set itself apart from the mainstream Christianity was taking shape by constantly emphasizing that God has no sons, and Muhammad was a prophet, only a prophet, and God has no sons, right? But the fact a lot of people are saying Muhammad originally referred to Jesus, not to Muhammad. Eventually,
because Muhammad is actually a title.
Yes,
it's not a name. Wow, that makes sense.
Yeah. You could even see that for 100 years, even though the Umayyad for 100 years after the alleged death of Muhammad, there's no mention of Muhammad in any Islamic writings, even though there was a lot of writings. And you can see Islamic coins, like the coins that by the Umayyad dynasty actually had crosses on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, none of this is proven beyond reasonable doubt, but this is the theories that are being put forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't.
I mean, it's fascinating to dig into, which is kind of why I wanted to talk about this news, because I know that you're so knowledgeable about these things. I'm like, let's just let him go.
No, I wouldn't consider this to be knowledgeable. I just like some.
You're more knowledgeable than people. That's a fact.
Okay. Sure.
On this subject. So. Yeah, I'm not
All
saying
right.
you're a scholar.
Okay. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
I don't think we should, because someone actually did die. Yeah.
Okay. But it was a baddie.
I mean, it's still not a good look. Okay.
Okay. We're respecting fascists right now. So this is like we're not. Well, actually, no, we're not. We're not celebrating the death of fascists. I think fascists.
I don't know. Okay, you're jumping ahead of things. Okay, we don't.
Okay. Next. Okay, I just wanted for the record. I wish I do want to clap, even though it is a death. But I'm being told.
I'm giving pushback because I don't know enough about this guy in particular to just call him a fascist, blah, blah, blah. Just painting people fascist so easily is not something I'm a fan of.
Looks to me like a fascist. We'll see. We'll discover. Pakistan Defense Force is saying Armin is a fascist himself. Okay, not true.
Mask off. You're right.
Okay. All right. And next news.
Radical Hindu leader publicly assassinated in India. A right-wing Hindu leader has been shot dead in broad daylight in the northwestern Indian state of Punjab. The 58-year-old Sundhir Suri, head of the fundamentalist religious group Hindu Shiv Sena, was shot dead while participating in a protest outside the temple Gopal Mandir in the city of Amritsar. Sandeep Singh, the local shopkeeper who shot Suri, was immediately arrested, and police seized the licensed weapon used in the crime. Local reports said that Suri was protesting outside the temple Gopal Mandir protesting outside the mandir against its management for the alleged blasphemy of Hindu deities. Before the incident took place, Suri was seen engaging in an argument with the management of the temple over the alleged desecration of idols. He was live on Facebook showing footage of some Hindu idols as he exclaims that they were shamelessly dumped in the garbage. "We will not tolerate such sacrilege, even if it is by fellow Hindus," said Suri during his live stream. According to the reports, Suri collapsed after 5 shots were fired at him. He was immediately taken to a hospital but succumbed to his injuries. Suri had been accused of derogatory and blasphemous comments against the Sikh community in the past, which may have provided the motivation for this attack.
Yeah, I mean, I was right. This guy's a fasci.
How does what I explained
Wait,
make him a fascist?
like he's a right. First of all, he's right wing, so that's already enough. No, I'm just-
Armin, you know that's not true. I hate it when you say that.
Okay, I will say that. He's okay. So, can you provide some context? Like, so he was there, like telling people that they were disrespecting Hindu goddesses.
So
gods and
he
goddesses?
is like a Hindu fundamentalist who was in front of this other temple, basically saying that this temple was throwing away Hindu idols. This is my understanding of things based on the reporting. And then another guy came in and just shot him dead. That's seemingly unrelated to the original reason why he was there, which was to do with Hindu idols being in the trash can or something. So this guy that assassinated him was from the Sikh community. And
He just randomly showed up there. He had nothing to do with either him or the temple.
He didn't seem, this is my understanding based on reporting, because there's a lot of details that doesn't make a lot of sense. He seemed to have not been involved with the reason why this guy was disputing with the local temple. But this guy has had run-ins with the Sikh community in the past, and the guy that assassinated him is from the Sikh community. Now, we don't really know what the actual motivation was at this point, but people are saying that, well, okay, after this happened, the murderer received a lot of praise from Sikh extremists, basically. And there's a Sikh group that is a Khalistani separatist group that has offered to pay for all of the legal fees of this murderer. And I even found a video of him the murderer being taken away in a police van, and people are throwing flowers at him, like Pakistani blasphemy culture style.
Amazing.
So that was actually kind of what was most worrying to me, and was in terms of this story, is how the murderer has received a lot of support. And it was kind of like another example of this, like the blasphemy culture of Pakistan kind of being exported into India.
We're getting the Muslims and the Hindus killing each other. Now the Sikhs are joining in. When can we expect the Christians to step up? I don't think
God
ever.
Damn it.
No. Okay, so this guy, has been described as a radical Hindu leader. Mm-hmm. Why is he described as a radical Hindu? Just to be clear, so that you know.
I mean, he's a fundamentalist.
Okay, so why are you telling me that I shouldn't be calling him a fascist? He's a fundamentalist.
Being a fundamentalist is not itself being a fascist.
Yeah, but if you're a fundamentalist, right-wing Hindu religious person, like how much more do you need to be a fascist? Okay, whatever.
Okay, personally, because of my history, Armin, I want to see
I know
actual policy positions that people are pushing for before I call someone a fascist. That's really important to me, especially because of dumbass leftist commentators like Vosh literally just calling anyone who's a Republican a fascist. It's not helpful. It's actually...
He didn't call everybody. He's saying that the Republican idea, he says that Republicans are unknowingly feeding fascism. Anyways, but let me focus on this.
But my point is that when people use it as loosely as people as him use it, it actually is dangerous because they justify any form of violence against people that they paint with that label. And then they expand that label to include just about anyone that disagrees with them, therefore justifying physical assault or death against said people. Like,
Okay.
that's really dangerous. I've been
Okay.
in cultures and groups where this is the way that people see things and they justify violence towards people. I've seen people commit violence on others with that justification. So I take it very seriously that
Okay.
you need to actually be having some policy positions or things that you're pushing for that actually are bent towards fascism besides just, oh, you're just a general right-winger.
How do you define fascism?
I mean, that's a complicated question. That's actually really hard.
Because based on my based on how I define fascism, this guy fits that criteria. Okay, so if you have a different definition, then maybe he doesn't. Oxymoron is saying I kind of identify as a fascist too. It's
well,
a
that
huge
doesn't
spectrum.
surprise anyone, Oxymoron.
I know, Oxymoron. I also defined you as a fascist, so we agree.
We've known you're a fascist for months now.
So, hey, Susanna, you called Oxymoron a fascist. See,
but I have good reason and proof. Okay.
Well, okay. Here's another question. This guy, why does he think? And why would a Hindu temple be throwing statues of Hindu gods and goddesses into the garbage?
Yo, that's a good question. That was a whole angle of the story that I didn't even get into or understand because I was like, what the hell is even going on here? Yeah, he was accusing another Hindu temple of throwing these in the trash, and so he's going to go after these people even if they're Hindu, like in his own words.
Yeah, see, Misha is saying I see defining fascism as far-right authoritarianism. Yeah. Exactly. So when I see any kind of radical far right, I'm like, yeah, fascist. Okay. GJ is saying off topic, but the effing YouTube super chat algorithm is frequently blocking my comments, and of course, the YouTube system only tells me to edit my text. No info on what's problematic. Okay, well, thank you again for all the super chats. We'll continue to highlight them. Thank you, GJ. Sorry about the confusion that's happening.
People are saying that Hindutva is fascism. I know that Hindutva is fascism, like I'm 100%.
Yeah, so we agree. There we go. Thank you. Selva saying AR is not democratic. If you want democracy, go somewhere else. This is a dictatorship. Why?
This is not a republic. It is a dictatorship of Susie. Okay.
Guys, people are saying to Susanna that Hindutva is fascism. Yeah, she agrees with that. But this guy is, I think, okay, let me defend Susanna, okay? Every time you see a Hindu radical right-winger, that's not necessarily Hindutva, okay?
That's my whole point.
Yes, okay. We do have far-right Hindus who are not Hindutva, okay? Hindutva and far-right Hinduism are not necessarily the same thing. They often are, but not always, okay? So there's that. It's amazing. I'm telling that to Indians in the live chat. See, guys, like people tell me that I don't understand things about India, but I'm informing you as a foreigner about your country. That like the Venn diagram doesn't completely match with each other. But this guy might be. Do you agree, Susanna? If this guy is Hindutva, then he's a fascist. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. See, oxymoron. You've been called a fascist just because you're Hindutva.
I mean,
all right.
Oxymoron is a fascist for a lot of other opinions.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, I think contextually, for people to understand why I think this way, like people probably think this is like a dumb thing to get stuck on, especially in this context, and like the likelihood is that this guy was Hindutva and all this stuff, blah blah blah. But for me,
look at his face.
Like labeling people with these kinds of things is extremely consequential because the people who are in opposition to fascism, especially the further left you go, justify any and all means against anyone that they deem fascistic. And this can get extremely dangerous because their whole mentality is that there are no bad methods, there are only bad targets. And this can threaten individuals' lives over something that actually isn't as bad as it's being painted out to be. Like, it can turn into just mob hysteria so quickly.
It could, but just because some people could take it that far, that doesn't mean we shouldn't call it fascism when we see fascism.
I know, and exactly. But from this guy, this individual, I don't know enough about his history to be able to say that responsibly.
Okay,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But in my books, I see radical and far right, and that's enough for me to check mark, get the fascist definition. Okay, and when I see it, I want to call it because I think far right nationalism, okay, and far right ideologies is right now, as we're speaking, the biggest danger to our planet. So if I call it fascism and people take it more seriously, I don't want to not just because some Antifa type have misused it. I don't want to lose that weapon against fascists just because some people overused it. Because fascists be fascists.
No, but I want to prevent the overuse to the point that it loses all meaning.
But I'm not overusing it. I'm using it on far-right radical people, okay? So I don't think I am overusing it.
I know, but with this guy, he's just being labeled radical in the media.
Well, I'm just...
Like, I don't know how radical he really is.
Okay, I'm just going based on Atheist Republic report. I'm just reading here that the guy is far-right and a radical, so I'm just trusting your reporting on it.
It doesn't even say far-right. It says right-wing.
Okay, but radical and right means that far-right. Yeah. How could you not be... Okay, you know what? I'm not going to get into that, but sure. Potentially fascist. Are you happy? Either way, I'm not sad that he died. I think that's fair to say. Somebody that thinks that somebody that goes out outside of temples, and that's his issue. Like, he's protesting a temple because he found some like statues that might be in the garbage, and is like raging against that. Like, a lot of people in the live chat who know this guy are also saying like, yeah, this guy is a hate monger.
No, I mean, so it's dumb and stupid. It's the dumbest thing in the world to worry about. Let's be clear.
It's not just that.
His priorities are messed up.
No, it's not just about this. Like, I can't find it, but Bengali Hindu in the live chat was talking about this guy. I was like, yeah, this guy is like, this guy is
I like this comment from Terrell's. Wait. Come on, Susie. That ugly ass beard is a total giveaway. He's a fascist.
Yeah, Darko is also saying fascism is going pretty strong. Yeah, guys, the world is becoming more and more dangerous because fascism, I understand that some people have gone full on crazy with calling everybody that is like to the right of Mao a fascist. Okay, I understand that's how bad it has gotten. Okay, but at the same time, okay, dismissing, like, I'm not saying Susanna you're dismissing it, okay, but like even Republicans, for example, okay, most of them are not fascists, okay, but Republicans are actually putting United States in the danger of a fascist takeover, even if they're not fascist. They are actually actively doing that. So if they're not fascist, they're complicit. So we could argue that later. I think you're being triggered. Right? I know you don't like that. I know you don't like it. I see. Your point is valid. I know you have seen so many cuckoo people that have said so many crazy things, but I think it's important not to let this pendulum swing all the way back to the other side. Okay, fascism is a threat. Okay, countries that have gone under, like, been taken over by fascism, sometimes it happened like a blink of an eye without people realizing. Sometimes countries went from being extremely progressive to just a miscalculation by people about how big of a threat fascism was. and over weeks, sometimes overnight, the entire country was taken over by fascism. Okay, so it's important to be aware of that.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I see your point.
And I say that as somebody whose country, okay, whose birth country was
Is
taken
currently
over,
run by fascists.
was taken over by fascism because people didn't take that threat seriously. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Susanna in Panama.
Yeah.
Oh, we get.
I mean, I do genuinely try to think about these things a lot.
Yeah.
See,
Dear, fine. We
um,
get.
Jim
We
Holy
get a
is saying Armin calling Republicans abetting fascism is bringing me back to my SJW days. It really does taste like that, Armin.
When you have state legislators actively, transparently telling their constituents that vote for us so we could change regulations in a way where Democrats cannot be elected, okay? Changing ID laws so that student IDs don't work, but like, what is it called? When like IDs you get for old age and stuff like that, those work. So because when you draw the lines in a way that even though these are state legislators, they will redraw the map in a way that every federal election eventually will go to the Republican. Okay, this is how, by the way, this is how Adolf came into power. Okay, through democratic means. And if you think your country is immune to that, just because a whole bunch of SJWs called everybody that says, hey, maybe this whole we're going too far. Like I was called a fascist because of things that I said that was not even racist. Okay. But I know that SJWs went that far. Okay. So it's the biggest crime of SJWs and woke people is that they make the threat of fascism feel like a joke, because it is a threat. It is a real threat. And their lunacy has made it seem like it's not a real thing, but it is a real thing. We're going to super chat. Another super chat by GJ.
He's saying on fundamentalism, the prime directive of Christians is to love all people like you love yourself, right? So wouldn't true Christian fundamentalism be a good thing?
Wait.
No, biblical law is horrific.
No, it's no. Actually, it's the opposite, GJ. The prime directive of Christians is to hate yourself and hate humans. The main message is that we are sinful creatures that don't deserve anything but hellfire. And that's why Jesus' sacrifice is considered to be a generous one, because we're getting something that we don't deserve. We are all of us are fitting for eternal torture. And Jesus came and tortured himself because our sins and our original sin that we're not even responsible for is so great that only through that punishment it could be cleaned. It could be cleansed. And this fake love is actually not really love, it's forgiveness. The reason why it's forgiveness instead of love is because, like Susanna or me, are not deserving of love. We're deserving of forgiveness because we're just so filthy and disgusting and worthless that the only way that anybody could love us is for us to first forgive us for being such filth. And that's the version of that's how Christianity sells us love. But first you have to humiliate and humble yourself to the position of recognizing that you're nothing, and only through Jesus and accepting his forgiveness and forgiving each other would you have any worth for you to be even lovable. So that's Christianity. Okay, let's go through the next news. Okay. Do I have the next one right?
Okay. Do you have it pulled up? Yes, you do. Okay, let's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can clap. It's fine.
Okay. Next news.
Next news. Hindu mob, including off-duty policemen, attack Christian gathering in India. Recently, a mob of right-wing Hindu fundamentalists, accompanied by an off-duty police officer, launched an attack on a private home where Christians had gathered for a prayer meeting in the east central Indian state of these names are so hard. Chhattisgarh. Anyways, according to the UK-based human rights organization Christian Solidarity Worldwide, or CSW, the mob initiated the attack on the Christian's home around 9 p.m. on the night of October 21st. Roughly 15 Christians were physically assaulted. Reportedly, the attackers also demanded that the Christians denounce their faith. However, on the following day of October 22nd, when the victims went to register a first information report, FIR, or like a good kind of, it's a kind of police complaint, the station house officer allegedly verbally abused them, insulted their religion, and refused to accept their complaints. The police refused to file a complaint, claiming that they didn't have any permission to register any case related to Christian persecution.
Okay, give us a breakdown.
So this is like another situation where people are accused of doing like mass conversions and forced conversions and stuff. And then they are then gone and abused and persecuted. And then when people go to try to address the fact that they were like abused and persecuted, then they're blamed for it essentially. And these quote unquote laws to preserve religious freedom, aka stop forced confessions, allegedly are actually used against the minorities.
Wait, what are we watching here? Hold on, let me play this.
So this is actually a video of something that happened last year.
Oh, so this is similar to that.
Yes. So this was an example that a reporter was given, basically saying like this isn't the first time that this has happened in this area.
Okay. But people
when
be angry.
People will go into Christian prayer areas and then beat them up and assault them. When they're like, this is supposed to be our own space. Like if we can't even do this in our own space, where can we do it? You know, it's different than Muslims giving namaz in public or something, because they're not even doing this in public. They're doing this in their own, you know.
What's the argument from the other side? Why are they so pissed? They're like, you're turning us to a Christian nation, and you're making us more Abrahamized, and you're
forgetting your Hindu
India.
past. You need to come back. You're
trying to change India's identity to Christian and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and they also say that this is not like we're like, hey, this is their free choice. Like, want to be able to be Christian, you have to let them. They act like no. Like I hear that so many times from Hindu. Like this is like they're not there from their choice. They're being brainwashed. So like, who are you to decide? Like they're like, this is mass brainwashing. These people are not going there out of their own, based on their own will.
Historically, I mean, there's a ton of instances of people being incentivized to go to the mosque, go to Christian.
But then they take that
particular.
Yeah. But these
and then
people look
receiving
like
aid is on the condition of becoming Christian. Like historically, this is like a thing. This has happened. This is true.
Okay, but that still is within their choice. They're like, okay, give me like whatever aid, and I'll come here. Like at the end of the day, you can't claim that these people are being forced to go there. They look like they haven't been forced to go there, but that's the actual claim. Like if you were on Twitter, when I used to argue about these things with people on Twitter, they were like, this is not their choice. I was like, I don't.
By the way, RIP to our Twitters.
Yeah.
Still banned on Twitter.
I don't see any chains on their legs or anything like that. So I don't know what you're talking
Okay,
about.
but Armin, it's not as simple as that. What if someone is saying, okay, because of the impoverishment of my area, I have no choice but to go try to receive aid from other people. And the only way in which I can receive that aid is conditional upon me renouncing my faith, which is, indigenous to my area or whatever. And I have to convert to their faith to be able to receive the aid that I need to feed myself, to continue to live, and to provide for my family.
Sounds like to me
That's
like you
that's
need.
still is that not coercive on the basis of the conditions of your environment?
I mean, it's better than if it wasn't there. Sounds like to me that if it wasn't there, you would go hungry.
I know, but to play devil's advocate, if that's the situation that one is faced in, what choice do you have?
Your choice is like, okay, you get them the aid then. Like, what are you gonna do?
No, this person is impoverished. They can't give aid to other people.
I know, but what do you? Okay, so here's saying like, you're beating them up because they're choosing between a bad situation and a worse situation, and they're choosing the bad one.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna take that?
They should offer them alternatives instead of assaulting them for it.
You can't force them not to take the aid. If you don't like it, come up with a better offer. And if you can't, well, this is the option that they have. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I see your point.
Anyways. I mean, also they do generalize. Like, some of them might be like this, okay? But a lot of Hindus in India consider just because they have examples of some coercion, they refuse to believe that there's any of this that is happening without coercion.
That's also true.
They generalize it to every single conversion that they see. Like, oh, these people are coerced. Like, no shit. You're just butthurt over the fact that people don't like Hinduism that much. Oh, we get another super chat.
Oh, thank you, GJ, for another super chat. St. Armin, you read Christianity extremely differently than how I was taught about it, to the point that I'm not even recognizing if we're talking about the same religion. Which book did you read?
It's called the Bible. That's the one I read. I read that multiple times. But yeah, that's how it came across to me. And I would argue that I have that more accurate description of the religion. I mean, it literally says the things I just told you. So you could argue that. Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to get an outside perspective. Like, when I hear people who were never Christian talking about Christianity, I'm like, oh my God, you're right. That is super weird. I never thought about it like that. Like the Eucharist. I'm like, wait, this is literally like a human sacrifice blood ritual every Sunday.
Yes.
I never thought about it like that. What the hell?
It's bizarre. It's a very weird,
well, especially if you believe in transubstantiation. As a Catholic, you have to. Yeah, it's crazy.
No, Christianity very directly teaches, like very clearly teaches you that the only way through kingdom of heaven is through Jesus Christ. Okay, which is a very disgusting teaching, in my opinion. Independent for what you have done in your life. But if you want, we could have that. We could have a discussion about that.
Asian American is calling the Eucharist cannibalism with extra steps. I like this.
Yeah.
And we got a super chat from Trells. Thank you, Trells. And he's, this is a joke. He's saying, what does a Persian guy do to hide something embarrassing? He sweeps it under the carpet. And on.
Do you know why he writes Persian like that?
Yeah, because YouTube live chat blocks you from sending super chats that contain the word Persian.
Why?
I think it's because of Iran being banned from what's it called? The IATF.
It's the name of an ethnicity.
No, this is a huge problem, actually. And this is the one thing that Nyack got right. Nyack has sent letters to like PayPal, because PayPal has this problem. Like, a bunch of payment companies have this problem where you're not allowed to send payment to someone if it contains the word Persian in it. And or let alone anything related to Iran. If it has the word Iran in it, there's no way that payment is going through, regardless of what it is. But if it's the word Persian, that also doesn't go through. So like,
Why?
they
Because
sent
of
out
the
a bunch of letters
sanctions?
addressing companies basically saying like this is racist. And it actually is.
Okay. As racist as it is, okay. However, do not ever say the sentence. Nayak is right about this. That's like blasphemy.
I know it is, but also I'm not gonna submit to a fucking mob.
I know. I'm kidding.
And I
Shit.
think that's. Am I wrong? Okay, maybe I won't take you down with me. I think that like, yeah, we can agree that this is wrong.
Yes.
God forbid.
Yeah, Charles saying, yep, Super Chat would not let me write the word without using the exclamation mark. Yes. We could turn that into wait, should we even say Persian on the YouTube's algorithm now? Is that becoming a swear word?
The word is now banned from our vocabulary, guys.
Yeah. The P word. Let's call it the P word. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
That wet ass P word.
Oh my god, I wasn't ready for that. Oh my god, I wasn't ready for that. Oh my god, that was a Ben Shapiro reference, by the way.
Yeah, hell yeah, it was.
Oh, so we got what is that? What's that currency? Is that Mexican
I believe
pesos?
Mexican pesos.
Oh, thank you. 13 Mexican pesos by Paco. How do you read that? Arce. Thank you so much, Paco Arce. Yeah, censorship is. Yeah, oh, yeah. Wait, I did the Korean version.
But you're doing it wrong.
There.
There you go. You figured it out.
I figured it out. Susie broke. People are saying you broke Armin. Susie broke Armin. All right. Clap up what you said?
Paco
No.
saying. Aquí va mi pollo, excuse me. 13 Mexican pesos is not much, but I hope it helps. Thank you for your hard work. Well, thank you for anything that you can contribute, Paco. Anything at all helps. And we appreciate it.
Thank you. I like the Korean heart. It's like cute and simple. You know? Anyways. Oh no, we got another super chat. Oh no, another super chat. Thank you. Okay. GJ saying, which Bible? The King James Bible, the Catholic one, the Ethiopian Orthodox one, just like
Hatun Tasha's 30 Arabic Qurans. She's a Christian missionary ex-Muslim who goes around with many different copies of the Quran.
I forgot which translation I read. Which translation do you suggest I read? I will read it again one more time with that translation. Well, I mean, I don't just read it. I read interpretations of it. I read people's commentary on it and all of that. So, but
also a lot of scholarship.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, but I forgot. I think it was King James.
Probably.
All right.
That's the most common.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to clap. Actually, I just looked at it. It's not clappable. Next news.
Next news. Indian Hindu woman kills herself after Muslim boyfriend killed by mob. On November 2nd, a Hindu woman, Tanu Saini, age 19, committed suicide after receiving the news of her partner, Zia ur Rahman, age 20, being bludgeoned to death in a village of Uttar Pradesh. The details regarding this incident are still unclear. Some reports say the couple was married and a mob beat the man. Others say that they were in a relationship but not married, and the woman's family opposed the interfaith relationship. According to the superintendent of police, Suraj Rai, Tanu's family members beat Zia and handed him unconscious to the police. However, Tanu's brother said that Zia was assaulted by a mob of 6 students who thought he was a thief. Tanu's body was found hanging around 11 a.m. on November 2nd. Her mother, Sunesh Devi, claimed that the youth killed herself out of shock when she learned of Zia's death. Quote, she went to her room saying she was going to change her clothes, and minutes later, her elder sister found her hanging with a dupatta from the ceiling, she stated. Both families filed FIRs against each other, which is a form of police complaint, but the police haven't arrested anyone yet. So this story actually is very complicated. There's a lot of details that are not entirely clear. So there's one version of the story. So these 2 families lived very close to each other. Some reports say that these 2 people were students at the same school. And there are some reports that they're in a relationship, some reports that they're not in a relationship. Some reports say that they didn't even know each other at all. Although if that was the case, I don't understand why this woman would self-delete over this kind of thing if she had no familiarity with this guy. So, and then some reports say that they were in a relationship, that this all evolved because that they were in a relationship that wasn't approved of, and then the girl's family accused the boy of molesting her, and so they went and assaulted him, and then he succumbed to his injuries later. And then there are some reports that he was, it's not entirely clear what it happened. They're basically saying that he was somehow perceived to be a thief, and then people came and assaulted him then to prevent the theft. It's really not clear. But what is clear is that in some form there was something was going on between the 2 of them, because then she ended up hanging herself within 10 hours of this 20-year-old man succumbing to his injuries.
It sounds to me that they're just covering up for a crime, these excuses, right?
You mean with the narrative about the theft or the molesting the daughter?
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. It's really difficult to tell. There's conflicting stories, and then, like I said, both families have filed police reports against each other, and no one's been arrested yet.
I mean, there's no other reason why she would be killing herself other than the fact that
not that I can think of. If there are people saying, "Oh, they actually didn't know each other at all," well, then why would this happen?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen. I mean, I don't often agree with Pakistan Defense Force, but in this one, he's right. So in India, they make up lies to cover up for Hindu mob violence. We often see that happening. So I'm suspecting that that's what's happening here.
It's possible. And
so Bengali Hindu is saying it is an honor killing. I suspect that as well.
What was an honor killing? The killing of the man or the killing of the woman? Are you saying that it wasn't actually suicide? Oh. No,
the man. Obviously, the killing of the man was an honor killing because, you take our woman. This is basically a love jihad, an accused love jihad case.
When I was looking into the reporting on this and looking at different stories, there was a comment that literally said, "Oh, another case of love jihad averted. Congratulations." And I'm like, exactly. How is this a success? If this is the woman who you're trying to protect, she's not even here to protect anymore. What do you mean, congratulations on
it is a success for them. It doesn't matter that she's dead. She doesn't belong to a Muslim man. And that's as long as she's not been taken by a Muslim man, that's a success. It doesn't matter if she's dead or alive. I would think that, that is the standard here.
Wait, Dia's having an important point. She's saying they said the man could not have gotten in if the gate wasn't unlocked from him from the inside. Oh. I guess the logical line of thought being that this woman probably let him in. And then when they were discovered, oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, there was a comment I wanted to read. Shriyash is saying, I'll have to be careful. Every girl I like happens to be a Muslim. It sucks that I can't fall in love without something like religion coming in the way. If it's a Hindu girl, my ex-Hindu identity is there. Damn.
Yeah, but it's not as bad. It's not as bad if you are a Hindu who's interested in a Muslim girl. It's not as bad. The worst case is that you might get the mob attack if you're a Muslim man who is interested in a Hindu girl. That is the most dangerous situation.
I don't know if I completely agree with that, because Muslim women aren't allowed to marry polytheists.
They're not Muslims. You don't get. Okay, so here's the thing. Wait, you're right. Actually, what happened? Muslim. Yeah, that's true, but depends where you are. This situation that we're describing here is dangerous in Pakistan. This is not as dangerous in India.
I think it could also be somewhat dangerous in India.
Somewhat dangerous, but like in India, you have to be more worried about. I mean, how many? Okay, maybe we haven't been reporting them as much as here, but like relative to Hindu mobs attacking Muslim men, how many stories do we have of Muslim mobs attacking Hindu men for taking a Muslim girl?
Oh, it definitely happens.
I know, but that was not my question. I didn't say does it happen. I said relatively. The key word here is relative. Yeah, relative.
I don't know.
I didn't say it's non-existent.
If you want some love and positivity and hope, Shriyash, look up on Instagram this account called I think they're called the India Love Project, and they basically highlight stories of couples that are together despite differences in religion and differences in caste or even differences in country. And I think it's really awesome because there is so much negativity, but then it's really cool to see all these couples coming together and like celebrating how they made their relationship work despite like everything in the society being structured against them. Although, to be honest, for a lot of these people, it did come at the cost of being within their family unit, which is really hard.
Yeah. Okay. We did get a comment by GJ, and because GJ, this is not a super chat, but because GJ gave us so many super chats, I want to read this one. So, Armin, are you aware that the Judeo-Christian God renewed his covenant with his people multiple times, and that Christianity also has significant abrogation in it? That's not just Islamic. Yes, I am aware of that. Okay, but the God is the same God. Okay, even though he may change his rules, the God that commanded you to commit genocide against an entire ethnicity, argue basic Christianity is the same God that is Jesus. So his past crimes still apply, even though he has new rules now. Okay. Susie went for a washroom break. There we go. We're back. Okay. Can we can clap for this, I think. Yes? Okay. All right.
Next news. Qatar World Cup ambassador calls homosexuality a damage in the mind. A Qatari ambassador for the World Cup received criticism after describing homosexuality as damage in the mind during an interview with the German public broadcaster. Khalid Salman, a former player for the Qatari national soccer team and an ambassador for the World Cup, made these remarks as Qatar prepares to officially begin the World Tournament in less than 2 weeks, where about 1.2 million people are expected to attend. During the interview with German broadcaster ZDF, Salman discussed homosexuality, which is illegal in Qatar. Quote, during the World Cup, many things will come to the country. Let's talk about gays, Salman said in English. Let's talk about gays. I'm sorry. The most important thing is everyone will accept that everyone will accept that they come here, but they will have to accept our rules, he added. Homosexuality is haram. Do you know what haram means? Salman continued during the interview. In Islamic law, if something is haram, it is considered forbidden. When the reporter asked why homosexuality was haram, Salman replied, I'm not a strict Muslim, but why is it haram? Because it's damaging the mind. He also went on to say that being gay causes, quote, spiritual harm. According to ZDF, a press officer for the World Organizing Committee immediately cut the interview short. Reuters asked the World Cup organizers for a comment regarding the issue, but they denied the request.
How the hell did this man get this job? Like, is he an idiot? I thought these people love money and understand, marketing and stuff. Right before this,
I know, right before
the World Cup,
and they've been trying to whitewash this whole thing for years.
Like Qatar has been spending millions Yeah, these countries have been spending billions of dollars trying to act like they're progressive and try to act like hey, shh, like please do not ignore the fact that we have barbaric, ancient, backward, anti, misogynist, homophobic, and transphobic laws. Like, here, look at these shiny things and ignore that reality about our laws. And this idiot, he's the ambassador. Like, his job. Look at his job title. World Cup ambassador. Like, how did he get that job? Like, this kind of show me that in Qatar you get jobs based on connections that you have, not based on qualifications or something. Because this is like the last thing you're supposed to say. What is this? What the hell? Like, let me teach you.
But what is he supposed to say? If someone asks you, why is it haram? Why is it forbidden? What are you supposed to say?
I'll teach you how, okay? Okay, so you're supposed to dodge, okay? You're supposed to pivot, okay? You're supposed to be like, this is how professionals do that. Like, when you want to whitewash your dirty laundry, okay? You say listen, every country has its own norms and cultures, okay? We understand that some of these cultures and norms, we respect yours, okay? And when you come to our country, there are certain things we understand, we actually change. We have been very flexible about how we accommodate our guests because they are not used to our norms and standards, okay? And we try to be as accommodating as we can, but you have to understand that the standards that we have in this country is not the same as yours. And every place you go, the cultures is different, and you have to respect them, and we respect yours when we come to your country, and you respect ours when you come to our country, okay? And then you ask me okay, but why is it haram? I'm like, listen, this is not a religious discussion. We're here to enjoy sports. This is a coming of together of people, and these conversations are only done by the people who are trying to separate us. Sports are beyond these conversations, and this is not the right time and place to have these conversations, okay? Even if you think we have some things that we fall short of, okay, this is how we bring people together, and we could have those discussions later. But right now, sports is about putting religion and nation and everything and enjoying each other and celebrating each other's culture and accept each other's differences. So you don't answer that. You just say some bull crap stuff like that. You just bullshit the guy. That's how you do it. Wasn't that better than this answer? I think that was a lot better.
I mean, I know it was bullshit because my brain just tuned out because I was like, okay, yada yada.
That's what you're supposed to. Yes, you're supposed to. You don't want to give an answer that becomes news title like that, right? So you have to give it a boring answer because you dodge the answer. You don't actually answer.
So after this happened, he's come out and said that this is all some big misunderstanding and people didn't understand what he meant and it was taken out of context, like the usual spiel. Even Pakistani Defense Force is saying Armin would be a good foreign minister because his BS skills are on point. Okay, we need Armin as a press secretary.
Yeah. I don't know, but
Um,
I'm just so impressed by how much this guy just like actively trying to destroy millions and millions of dollars of worth of marketing to whitewash
Yeah.
Qatar's reputations. Yeah.
D is so funny. She's saying the other guy was like, cut.
You had one job. You had one job. This idiot. What the hell? I really want to know how he got his job, given that this is the answer he gives.
Yeah, he's saying, we accept gay people's money. Please leave right after. This is the whole thing that's so frustrating about the whole Qatari situation is like, they try to act like they're accepting and stuff, but it's so... if you like take even 30 seconds to look, it's 100% obvious that it's like, okay, we have these rules for foreigners and we have different rules for our own citizens. And for our own citizens, this is patently illegal.
Right.
And you can be sent to arbitrary detention for like 6 months.
Yeah, but their rules, even like, are protesters going to bring the flag, the gay flag, in to try to see what will happen? I suspect that something like that is going to happen.
Well,
I suspect like during the events, people like gay rights activists are going to just like bring out like their, you know, they're going to try to hide their gay flags in their backpacks or whatever, or in their underwear or whatever. And then during the show, they're going to take off their shirt or something, and they're going to see that there's a rainbow shirt under something. Okay. And we're going to see how they respond. Are they going to be peacefully escorted out of the stadium? Are they going to be arrested? Are they going to be deported? But I think it's very likely that some activists are going to try to see how much they could poke the Qatari government and make a statement with it. I mean, I suspect we're going to see something like that. What do you think?
Darko is saying, at least the guy was honest, I guess. I mean, I do kind of actually prefer that. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer it as well, but I'm just saying from their perspective, this doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Yeah. Oxymoron is saying, I would prefer this dude over whatever word salad you build up. My head hurts when people speak like this. It's supposed to make your head hurt. You're like, oh, you have to give an answer where people roll their eyes, or like he just dodged the answer. I mean, that's what they're supposed to do, because everything else would be an embarrassment. Yeah. Anyways, Susie's camera is not working again, which is fine because we're almost done. Did you know how you fixed it the last time?
Yeah. For the next news, could you pull up the safer work version of the stuff?
I have because I saw the link. I was like, we're gonna lose our chat, guys. The link that Susanna sent me to pull up right now, if I had shared it right now with you guys, we would have lost the channel like immediately. So good thing I checked. Oh my God, we got another big super chat. You want to read this one while I get the art?
GJ is saying, Armin, my point wasn't about the God. My point was about the fundamentalism. By your own admittance, the Judeo-Christians made new rules, and wouldn't love others like you love yourself fundamentalism be good?
Wait, what?
Okay, let's just take one part of this. If the fundamentalism was simply just love others like you love yourself, if that was the fundamentalism, would that be good?
If the love even if you want to whitewash Christianity and make it seem like it's about loving others like you love yourself, that's a ridiculous ask. Okay, that's a ridiculous ask. How could you? First of all, the commandment to love anybody is an idiotic commandment, because you do not have control over what and who you love. Love is not by choice. Okay, like, can you, like, especially when it's like love your enemies, like how you this also shows that like how big of a tyrant the Abrahamic guy is. Okay, because actual worldly tyrants, they tell you what to do. Okay, But God is not just a tyrant of your actions, he's also a tyrant of your thoughts. He commands you to have don't have sympathy for certain people, or have sympathy for certain people, as if you could just like, as it's as if like, hey, like, what is your favorite color, Sus? What is your favorite color?
I don't have a favorite color.
Okay, well, mine is green. But imagine you're not helpful. Imagine if you ask me to change it to blue. Okay, imagine, like, can somebody change their favorite color? Okay, that's how ridiculous it is when you ask somebody to love somebody. Like, you can't. Okay, you love the people you do because it just, love just happens. All right, so it's a ridiculous ask, and you're not supposed to even love everybody the same as yourself. Love is supposed to be special. If you love everybody, then you love. If you think you love everybody, then you love nobody. Love is for a selected few. Okay, you love. There are special people in your life that you love. If you think that you love your child as much as you love a random ass kid in the in the neighborhood, or it's just like you're broken. I'm sorry, you're broken. Okay, if you think you love your girlfriend or your significant other or your husband the same as a goddamn like rapist in prison, then like what's wrong with you? You're gonna love that person? Do you love fascists? Love everybody like yourself? Like, I'm sorry, no, I don't love fascists. Okay, I don't love racists. I don't love rapists. I don't love murderers. It's a ridiculous ask by Christianity. Sorry, I'm being very mean to GJ, even though he's giving us a lot of
No, you're just having a disagreement.
I'm just having a disagreement. Yeah.
I mean, you're not attacking him or his positions. Like, he's not even a Christian, so.
Yes. Are you a Christian, GJ?
No.
I'm just giving you my honest answer. Is the art I have up good?
Yes.
Okay, go. All right. So this is a good, because we have a multiple arts like this, but this is the one I selected because I think it looks really good.
This is one of the newest.
Yeah, it does look pretty nice. All right, so guys, we're going to show you the safe for work version of the art, but we have the not safe for work as well. All right, so actually I should leave that for, I'm going to tell you. Yeah, so can we clap?
Yes.
All right, next news.
Out of Atheist Republic's Imam Domination series. I actually don't know what to call this segment, so please give me tips. Armin thought that we should talk about how we have begun a new series in our Blasphemous art project, inspired by the situation in Iran, and also inspired by some stuff in our Atheist Republic Persian community about, women showing domination over the mullahs, with the running tagline being, that they've been so fixated on exerting their domination over all of Iran, but particularly women. It leads one to suspect that maybe what they want all along is to be dominated themselves. So we have a whole. You're muted.
No. By the way, they don't deserve this.
I don't have your audio.
Oh, testing. Testing. Do you guys have my audio in the live chat? Okay, I'm gonna just leave for vice versa. Oh, they do have my audio in the live chat.
So wait,
I'll
what is
just leave-
happening? Is this a problem with me? Oh, you guys have audio, but I don't have audio? Okay, sorry. Wait, Armin, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that mullahs don't deserve this. This is too good for them. But you go on.
Actually, I would like Armin to talk more about this, but can you explain to our community in the English side some of the running themes or jokes or patterns that we've noticed amongst the in the AR Persian community. Because I'm actually going to be doing an art about it soon.
Well, I mean, okay, so this is a lot different from what's happening. Okay, we just wanted to have some fun with it because, like, so I mean, a lot of people who don't understand what we do with our art might not be confused by it, but we use domination in our art as a way of demonstrating, symbolizing who's on top and who's taking control. And so I know a lot of people. So this kind of art is supposed to be for a selected few. So we don't put this out in the open because we know that a lot of people might get the wrong idea about what we're trying to do here, right? But this kind of art is only released to our newsletter subscribers, and the not safe for work version of it is only released to our patrons, right? So if you want to see art like this, you can subscribe to our newsletter. And if you want to see the nude version, you can become our patron. Link in the description, right? So this art is not meant for mass, distribution and stuff like that. So, but the symbolism. Can you hear me now, Susan? Yeah, okay. The symbolism is mullahs who, with that outfit, have become the symbol of power in Iran. Are now losing their domination, right? So we use, BDSM or which is a symbol of domination, as a way to show that the flippening, okay, for women who were the oppressed, who were being dominated, are now in the top position. They're the one who are dominating in Iran right now. So that's how we're trying to symbolize it with this art. What do you think?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, sorry, I just got distracted by all the technical difficulties I'm having. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah. People are actually
but this
liking
art is
it
just
a lot.
one of many. We have other ones that we've put out and other ones that will be coming.
Pakistan Defense Force is also saying this just proves Armin has a weird mind. Pakistan Defense Force, let me tell you what a big self-report this is, okay? Because first of all, everybody likes things that is rare. Everybody has that. But the people who have the worst weird desires are the people who constantly trying to out other people for having weird desires, okay? Almost everybody except asexual people have fetishes, fantasies, kinks, what other would consider weird. So this is just a self-report when you keep trying to think like other people's weird desires or fantasies or kinks are just like dirty or bad. I'm pretty sure your porn history will shock everybody here. Okay, so just letting you know. Especially given that you come from Pakistan, makes that the chances of that a lot higher, because we've all seen the statistics of the porn taste from people that live in Pakistan, which is more bizarre than any other country if you actually look at the studies from what people watch in Pakistan. Yeah, so there's that.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, by the way, this is just one of those woman dominating imam arts that we have. There's a series of these. How many of these do we have? I think we have 2 so far. Are we going to make more?
We have at least 3 or 4.
Oh, 3.
And
Okay.
no, 3, and there's a few more coming.
Have all 4 of them been released?
No.
Oh wow, I've been missing out. I need to see the rest. Can I show one of the hijabi ones that have turned out very cute? The Oh,
No, let's
this
just
is
keep it to
cute.
this week.
Okay. All right, cool. Guys, we have some really good, sexy hijabi art. Really good. If any of you are into the hijabi stuff, we have grade A material. So go check it out. People are saying yes, please show. Guys, if you are subscribed to our newsletter, you would see all of this. So make sure you don't miss any of these by being subscribed to our newsletter. Okay, so we have new ones every week. Okay, so you know what? I'm not going to show so that you guys go subscribe to our newsletter. All right. Anything else you want to add, Susie, before we go?
No, thank you for watching. Please make sure to give us a like because we talk about controversial things that YouTube doesn't like. And I will see you back here next week.
Yeah. Shreya is saying, I'm going to subscribe right now. Okay, good. That was good marketing that I did there. Okay. All right, guys. Bye. Mwah.